This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome to, well, a bit of a macabre start to the afternoon as Tandy drags her kill. But what an epic way to kick off our afternoon safari. She's highly mobile with her carcass. Not that there is that much left, but I have a funny feeling I know exactly where she's going, which is a big marula tree which she's going to go and hang it in, I hope. My name is Tristan. On camera I've got David, and we are coming to you live from South Africa, which means #SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube stream if you would like to get a hold of us in any way, if you want to ask any questions or if you want to just have any comments that you've got. Now, I'm pretty sure she's heading to the marula just on my left-hand side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of gap around her because I'm pretty sure she's mobile towards there. I just also need to let the guys know that we found her. Yeah, afternoon tax. I've just relocated Tandy. She is mobile with the carcass towards a big marula. So if you fog a jumbo, you might get her going up. So just letting them know exactly where she is. But look at the strength and the power of her. She's dragging this seriously well. Now I'm going to get us into a prime position because I think this marula tree right in front is where she's about to go. There's a nice perfect branch there for her to balance herself on and lie on and put her big belly on when she's tired. I'm surprised that we haven't seen little fat cat Kalalamba coming from behind getting involved in the dragging of this, but it seems as though she might be sleeping in a food coma because she was going to town earlier. Darby was saying to me earlier that she was eating quite a bit this morning and dragging the carcass around. So now I wonder if she's not maybe just had a lot to eat and is just resting. It's an interesting kind of weather. It's not cold, it's not hot. Now, sorry, the guys are just calling me on the radio. Yeah, tax just comes central and then I'll give you a shout when you need to turn south, but she's almost at the tree, so if you need to move quite quickly. So here she goes. She's going to go right to that marula. Look at that. Now it's incredible to have watched her. She is seriously intelligent. So what she's done is she spent the entire day in a thicket where she is hidden that carcass from things like vultures, battalier eagles, tawny eagles, so as they have not found her. Now that it's starting to get later in the day, there's a cold front blowing in, it's cloudy, it's cold, she's now going to take it and she's going to pop it into a marula where it's going to be out of the way of the nocturnal predators, but in a place where it's going to be a lot more comfortable to lie. The trees that she took it to earlier, well, those were spindly and spiny and not good, and they would have really hurt her to try and go up there and down, and she wouldn't have had a place to rest if the hyenas came in. This marula tree, on the other hand, has got two perfect branches for not only her but little Kalamba too. Now look at this, she's going to go up, I'm pretty sure of it. She's just going to drop it there at the base. She'll catch her breath, muster her strength. Look, now watch the power if she goes up. Even though that carcass has really been fed on quite a bit, she's definitely going to still struggle with it going up, and it still weighs probably about what she weighs, so she's going to take double her body weight up into that tree. It's going to be spectacular. Now she might hold off for a little bit. She's obviously dragged it quite far. I think we've probably gone about 80 meters, maybe even more, maybe 100 meters, and so it's interesting just to kind of see how she's going about it and which tree she actually chose. I wonder if she's going to go up. I hope so. Shame, girl, are you tired? You can see she's panting quite heavily. There, she's grabbed it. Here we go, here we go. There we go, look at this, watch. Look at that strength and power. Isn't that incredible? Now, that branch is too low. She knows that, so she's going to take it that little bit further. And look at that. That is spectacular. Wow. Power and poise and experience right there. She really has just shown how an experienced female leopard goes about her business in order to get a carcass up into a tree. Absolutely phenomenal. And where she's dragged it now is perfect. The hyenas won't be able to get it there. Nice comfortable branch, and then you can see that she's got just below to her to the right. Look at that little bow in the branch. That's perfect for a leopard's fat tummy when it's lying on the branch itself. So she's going to be in a perfect place to get herself sorted. Now, we couldn't have asked for anything more than that. Absolutely amazing. Now, what a beautiful tree she's chosen as well. Now, Tax and Rex are going to join us, so I'm sure she's going to probably feed a little bit. And then normally what they do is once they've fed a little bit, they'll then just go down and they'll go and lie down on a branch and rest. And I'm pretty sure that bottom right branch is where she's going to spend her afternoon. I'm very surprised that Columba has not followed in any way. We might actually even see her chuffing a little bit in order to get little Columba to come towards where the tree is. But how cool is that, guys? We were in the perfect position to see that. What a way to start the afternoon. Anyway, we're going to see what Tandy gets up to for the course of the afternoon, where the Columba arrives. But one thing that should arrive later is hyenas. And Jamie up in the Maasai Mara has got I think the North Clan, which should be making her smile from ear to ear.
What an epic start to our sunset safari. Well done, Tristan. So we're here in the Maasai Mara, and I'm sorry to take you away from that special moment, but it's just for a very quick hello because I'm going to have to leave here shortly. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon Archie is on camera with me, and you might have noticed a truly dramatic change in landscape. If you're new to these live safaris, that's because we're in the Maasai Mara of Kenya. And I just wanted to spend a little bit of time with you at North Clan's natal den. I was hoping that the cubs were going to come out. We're sharing time with North Clan's den at the moment with another group of filmmakers. So I thought I would pop here quickly at the very start of the sunset safari to show you them in the hope that the cubs would come out, because obviously we don't want to over-pressurize these hyenas. There are 2 sets of little ones, and then it looks like, with Sloth Bear's continued presence, that's him over there scratching his face, he is a now 6-month-old cub. It looks like this has become the communal den as well. But here's what's even more interesting. Those are his big sisters. One of them is Polar Bear, and we know that she has cubs. The one behind her is Teddy Bear and her younger sister, and I think that she might just have cubs in here as well. So we're really well and truly getting the start of this cub boom that happens as the migration arrives. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time with him and to let you know what seems to be unfolding. We've got a full family here. The older sister lifted her head, that was Polar, her younger sister Teddy Bear, and their youngest brother, Sloth Bear. Lovely family reunion. And then Waffles is here, but she's completely invisible. She brought the cub out for the briefest moment a few hours ago, and then they ducked back below ground, probably because they're very, very nervous. The researchers tell me that one of the musketeer coalitions, one of the big male lions in the same coalition as Scar, actually came through and tried to attack the den site last night. So they're a little bit on edge, a little bit nervous, and it might take them some time to recover from that shock. Remember how we've spoken about the fact that male lions are a serious threat to hyenas. From here, the plan is to see if we can find the Olololo Pride. That's what we're going to go and see. Now, I didn't want to keep you away from the dramatic unfolding on Juma. Let's go and see whether Tlalamba answers Mom's call.
Well, Tandy has been chuffing and calling and been up in the tree. She was looking down to where Columba was, and she's now just bounced out. So she's done her job. She's put the carcass away safely, and now I think she's going to go back and try and find the little one who was somewhere down in that area. This is how far she's going to walk, where she's already dragged this carcass. It's pretty incredible to see how much strength the leopard has got. You must understand that that carcass is not a smooth object that pushes with wheels. It's not like pushing a little trolley in a supermarket. That thing is being caught on branches. It's heavy, it's awkward, and yet she's dragged it all the way that she's walking now. I mean, this is only halfway. We're not even actually halfway from where she started, and she's taken it from there all the way to this tree, which is quite unbelievable. Now I'm going to try and follow her so that we can actually see her reunite with little Columba, because it'll be nice to see her kind of join back up once again. They obviously, have been together most of the day, which means that they really don't have too much of a stress and don't have to worry too much. So Rex is going to go round a little bit, which is cool. So we'll just try and slide in here. So it's not that she's panicked or anything like that, but she just wants to probably show Tlhalamba, look, this is where the kill is at. This is where you need to kind of go. But amazing strength and power that we witnessed. You can see she's still going, and I mean, that's a long way to be able to drag a carcass. It really is quite something. Oh, there's little Tlhalamba. I can see her now. So she's just basically coming up towards Mom. We should get a nice little reunion between the two of them. How amazing is this? What a way to start. So I'm going to just stop here because little Tlhalamba is now looking in all the trees. So she's going to come straight to where Mom is. Mom is going to wait for her, and then the two of them should turn and go straight back to where the carcass is. Look at this. Hey, little girl. She's so cool. Now Tandy's turned already and coming straight back towards us, which is absolutely amazing. It really is quite special to have these two around and in this area. They are amazing cats, and to have Tandy kind of spend as much time as she has lately with us has really been quite... Now there comes little Tlhalamba. She's a little bit more cautious as to what's going on. She's decided that she's just going to check everything out. There's Mom has found herself a little prize piece of meat that she's picked up. It's obviously from when she dragged it. This is the way that she dragged, that she obviously dropped a little piece or it broke off, and so she's going to go and very proudly go and find herself a spot to munch down on that. Little Tlhalamba will follow Mom and just kind of head off into the thicket with her, which will be very cool. So Francis, you say Tlhalamba dragging the kill this morning was hilarious. Well, she looked as though she did a good job from what I saw. I mean, David showed me a few videos of it, and she seems as though, even though she's small, she was able to drag it around a little bit. I mean, obviously, if that impala was a full piece of meat, there's no ways that she would have been able to. She's just too little at this stage. But she still did a good job, and at least that instinct is there, is that she knows to drag to a thicket, drag it under cover before then, trying to look up into trees and those kind of things. And the instinct also with her mom is to look up into trees when Mom arrives. It's quite interesting actually to watch it. So, it's kind of that trained behavior that when Mom arrives, sometimes there's going to be a carcass in trees, and so she looks up in all the trees just to see where they are. And let's see if the two of them are going to sit together. Now, obviously when there's food involved, generally Mom can be a little bit on the grumpy side. So let's have a little look quickly. No, she's decided she's going to move off for now. Still not 100% confident around too many cars is little Tlhalamba. She's quite fine when there's one car around or even two, but a threes is sometimes she gets a little bit like, I'm not quite sure, especially if they're all moving at once, then she kind of gets a little bit nervous about it. So still need to kind of get her used to everybody, and she's gotten a whole lot better than when she was a tiny cub, and so with time, we should start to see her being just fine. Now, Tandy, what I'm pretty sure she's going to go do is just going to go and do a little bit of a cleanup. She's just going to make sure that there isn't any other bits that have dropped that maybe a hyena can come and find. You might find her just scraping some soil around where they fed for most of the day. And that's exactly where we found her now, where she's gone and is sniffing. That's where the carcass was. And so she might just check that out, find if there's any pieces, eat those. If there's nothing there, just scrape a bit of sand around there just to stop the hyenas kind of finding her that easily. Also, she might know that there's a few little pieces that have dropped down. You can see she's found something there that she's just hoovering up. It was very interesting to me that this morning she went back to where we were and where we looked at the liver and the stomach content and all of that, and that she actually went back and ate all of that. I'm quite surprised, even with the fact that we had been sitting there and the scent of us standing there, that she didn't mind actually feeding there as quickly as she did. I would have imagined she would have gone back there during the course of the day, but it was almost immediately after we left she went back to that area and ate all of that stuff. Right, now we have had the most ridiculous start with two of our spotted cats here in the Sabi Sands, and it just seems as though it's going to be one of those days because, well, James is sitting with the semi-awake Husana.
Yes, he is. Shall we start that again? Yes, he is semi-awake. He hasn't been awake. He's been fast asleep. I feel like we've been on drive for hours, but of course this is the first time you're seeing me today because there's been so much action happening everywhere else. That is Husana, the male leopard. He is 2.5 years old. And it is, of course, marvellous to have 3 leopards on game drive already. You might just hear in the background. No, it's stopped now. there is a monkey calling, alarm calling at Husana, very dissatisfied with the fact that there is a leopard sitting here so close. Is the monkey still there? I think he is still there. He's up at the top of the tree there. There we go. Good. So you would have seen that. My name is James Hendry. It's nice to have you with us here on the Sunset Safari. And of course, we'd love to hear from you using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and of course the chat stream on YouTube. You can send us any questions or comments you'd like to. I've been asking lately for insults and jokes. You can still send those too if you would like to. I'll make the insults relatively gentle to start with, and you can ramp them up towards the end of the afternoon. Now, that's quite interesting. Let's just have a look at what this little fellow's eating. I think he's probably in the process of eating some fresh flowers. Yep. Looks like some new knobthorn flowers on the top of that tree. And like I often say, I just cannot understand how a monkey sits in thorns like that. They have got unbelievably, I suppose, tough skin and an ability to deal with pain far in excess of our own. I'm sure there is a relative cuteness about monkeys, but I've got to tell you, I vacillate between being impressed with their cuteness and deeply irritated with their thieving natures. We've got a couple that are hanging around camp at the moment, and one helped itself to a burger at brunch today. Took a roll out, spread some mayonnaise on it, put a patty on, added some lettuce, a bit of tomato, a bit of cheese, took one of the vegetarian patties, which was a mushroom, and then settled into eating it on the roof. All of that happened in about 3.5 seconds before we had the chance to chase it away. Now it's going ballistic because Husana is now starting to move. Let's go back to the leopard. He's now starting to move slightly. There he goes. I think he's tired of listening to the beastly monkey shouting at him. Of course, there's no reason the monkey shouldn't shout at him. There we go. Now, he's got quite a portly belly at the moment. He did eat quite a lot of Nyala before his father lifted it off him. There we go. And he's got his tail up as if to say, I'm no threat. I've told you that all before, of course. And the only thing that is alarm calling at it now, other than the monkey, is a few guinea fowl, which are just over there down in this little dry dam, and they're going. Oh yes, definitely, Jeffrey. A monkey would definitely be on a leopard's menu. They like to eat monkeys. Monkeys are delicious to them, but they're not easy to catch. They normally live in troops. That little fellow's on his own there, so I can only think that he's probably a male come into maturity and is being excluded from the troop. You'll have to go and find another troop to live in. But they're definitely on a leopard's menu, especially a young male leopard like this. But quite often, older, more experienced leopards won't bother with things like monkeys. They will eat them from time to time, but not all the time. And I have heard that if a monkey is actually caught by a leopard or a dog or something like that, they are able to defend themselves with tremendous speed, scratching and biting, and they're a ball of terror. Now I think this cat is going to follow his normal line, which is down into this drainage system, which is pretty easy, and then along the tambuti groves that line the western side of the riverbed. He's very lazy. I think he's just tired of the monkey, perhaps, and he'll find a nice shady spot. Karen, a large bird would definitely take a monkey from a tree, possibly not in this area at this time. Crowned eagles are the ones that normally like to take monkeys, and there aren't any crowned eagles living in this area, so it wouldn't surprise me to see one in another area taking a monkey like that. But out here I can't think of a bird that would have the capability to take a monkey. It's not easy to do, very difficult in fact. Oh, it's bumpy, yes, it's bumpy. Yes, he's doing exactly as predicted. I'm pretty sure he's going to disappear into these tambuti thickets, but we'll try and keep up with him. We've managed over the last few days. We don't have any air support today, unfortunately. It's the best way to keep up with leopards, going through thickets. Alright, I think let's go back to Jamie now, who seems to be on the search for her own animals. I'm sad she's had to leave the North Clan natal den, but let's see what else she has for you.
Jamie in the Mara, who is searching for the Olololos. So here's the story behind that. The Olololo is the Olololos are a pride of lions that get their name from their territory, which is towards the Olololo Gate and the Olololo Escarpment, which is that way. Last year when we got to know those 4 females, they raised 13 cubs pretty much underneath along the road that goes up to Angama Mara, the camp next to us, and to our camp. Yesterday evening, 16 lions were probably about 25 kilometers outside of their normal territory, walking this way away from their territory. Why? And did they stay? Because what that means, those females have got, admittedly no longer 13, 12 young lions to kept fed. Those lions are now 1.5 years old. I think they heard the call of the migration, and because it's not making its way up to that top northern corner, I think they've decided to take matters into their own hands, so to speak. And they've come this way. What that means for the Owinos, the sausages, for any lion pride, will be interesting to watch. Those cubs are not quite out of harm's way yet, though, and the females have taken them into the territory of Kipuli and his 2 young boys. It'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. Or they just went back again, which is entirely possible. It has not stopped raining. It's obviously not raining now, but it has been raining quite a bit. So any tracks that I might see on the road, they've been washed away. Tracking is difficult in the Mara, especially at high season with the amount of vehicles. But I am assuming that's where they're going. 16 lions shouldn't be that hard to find, I'd say, with the greatest level of confidence. It's a big pride. Last year it was 4, now it's 16. Those females have done really well. But they've got to keep them fed, and they've got a lot of males, and their hearing is sensitive enough that they can hear that meh, 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 meh. Yvonne, I have absolutely no idea how Kinky Tail's doing or what injured her yet. Brent spent a little bit of time with them this morning, and then they went into the rocks, and he was unable to follow them, so I'm not with her at the moment, obviously. I suspect, but I spoke to Brent earlier, he said he thinks it's a horn wound, maybe a buffalo, or potentially a wildebeest, maybe if she caught one at the wrong angle, but she's experienced enough, I think it was more likely to be a buffalo. And Brent says it doesn't even reach into the muscle layer. It looks horrible, but he thinks she'll be absolutely fine. So hold on. I said I couldn't see tracks, but I can see tracks. Hold on. Hold on. I hope no one's behind me. I can't see. I can see tracks. Easily. Very easily. Tracks that went off the road. And they went to North Clan. This would be from yesterday. And if I had to guess, I would say because I'm looking at lots of tracks. I would say this is them. I was mistaken. I can see tracks. I'm not going to linger too long looking at those tracks. They're beautiful. I hope you took lots of screenshots. They didn't go that way. No, they're still here. I wonder if lions get scared when they start to move so far beyond the realms of the familiar. They must, within their territory and within their territorial knowledge, this is where they went off again, they must surely know there's a path here that I can run along, there's a bush here I can hide in, or whatever else. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. Lovely tracks. Nice deep tracks. Oh, wherever these lions are, I'm sure they're in the search of food. I think it's safe to say that Husana has something similar on his mind.
He's stalking something, everybody. I've got no idea what it is. Oh, what's he got? He's got it. No, it's a squirrel. He's just caught a squirrel. Can you believe it? We've managed to see a kill. Unbelievable. Shame, poor little squirrel. Shame. Let's just wait, yeah. That was Fergus shouting at me because I started the car like an idiot. There was no need for us to get closer. Oh, it's very seldom that I've seen one of those things taken out. I feel dreadful. He looks... he looks a bit put out by his meal as well. Let's go ahead and see if he hoists it like Tandy hoisted her kill. And the squirrel nearly got away. Oh, shame. Is that right, folk? Shame. Oh well, he's got to eat. At least this thing's too small for Husana to come and steal. I think he's just going to eat the whole thing. I know this is pretty disgusting. If you are a sensitive viewer, I suggest you look away. I think he's just going to eat it whole. Oh, that is foul. Well, you can safely say it's dead. Now, oh my goodness. Minamu, yes, they can digest the skin. They can't digest the teeth or the claws or the hair. And so all of the teeth and the claws and the hair will come out the other end. You can see the head is now gone. He's just going to eat the whole thing. Now, we're often wondering how on earth does he stay in such good condition when, you know, we don't always see him on an impala or on a nyala or on something big. This is how. They do this all the time. Be it a scrub hare, a squirrel, whatever it may be. I mean, this thing, I can't believe it's even worth his while. He's trying desperately to sort of... He's trying to... Oh, I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to get at the organs but exclude the stomach contents because the stomach's a bit disgusting. This is called micro-eating, everybody. It's really... It's quite skillful. There we go. No, Xera, it's certainly not much of a meal. He's given up trying to separate. No, he's managed to separate most of the stomach. No, he swallowed the intestines. That's the stomach there. No, the intestines are still out. He's actually very cleverly managed to separate them. Now we're going with the front legs. I must reiterate again that I know that this must be a little bit difficult for some people. There we go. Stomach he's excluded entirely. Yeah, the stomach is dropped on the ground. I mean, that's unbelievably skillful. I suspect he'll drop the tail too. Yep. No. There it goes. He's eaten the tail. This is very black humour, I suppose. Macabre humour. He's smelling the insides now and deciding if he's going to eat the stomach, and deciding no, he doesn't think he will. How was that, boy? Was that nice? Mmm. Now we have Conrad from the tech department sitting in the final control cheering on Husana, because he of course lived in one of the rooms in our camp which had a squirrel infestation. What they kept doing was dying in the ceiling and then smelling like the bowels of Satan himself. So he's quite pleased that one of them has met its end. So that didn't take very long at all. Oh, here we go. This is exciting. That's wonderful. What goes in must come out, I suppose. Yeah, pretty quick. This is obviously not a result of this meal, everybody, and I don't think that it's a I don't think it's a number 2 he's doing. Marvellous. All right, well, Tlalamba, not too far from here, is alert. Let's see if she manages to, well, perform in the same skillful way.
Well, she's got a slightly different target on her mind, because she's looking at rutting male impalas, which at her size is way beyond her capability at this stage. She will really not be able to get a rutting male impala, but that's not to say that she might not try stalk it. As you can see, she's working it out, and this is all good practice. Even if she doesn't get anywhere close and she misses, it's good that she practices and she tries to learn how to go about doing this. You can see that she's got her typical mom waddle that Tandy has, where she kind of moves her hips and carries on kind of slinking through the grass, and she's slowly but surely trying to worm her way closer towards those impalas, which will be wonderful to watch. It's going to be a very interesting process to see. Now I'm going to try and reposition, because obviously can't see her very well, and we also can't see any impalas. The impalas are quite far away. Tandy is behind us still. She's kind of back on a little termite mound where that thicket is, and whereas Tlalamba is slowly making her way towards the carcass. So we just want to follow her, because she, I'm hoping, is going to go up into the tree. She can't help herself. She's got a big tummy, and she's much like her older brother Husana, who likes food, and it seems as though she is very much the same. And I've decided that while I was driving around today, is that Husana is very much like Garfield. He's got this little tummy that he likes to kind of feed and make sure has constantly got food in it. Doesn't really like to move around too much, is quite happy just to stay in the immediate area, and as long as there's food and water, he's pretty happy and likes the company of others to some degree. I mean, obviously Garfield is a little bit grumpy at times, but Husana is not like that. It's just that he has that same kind of demeanor of a little fat tummy and doing his own thing. And I think he's going to be the ruler of the leopard world at some point, so maybe that's how it would be. I wonder if he'd drink coffee. What do you think, David? I think so, maybe you'd like a cup of coffee like Garfield would as well. Anyway, yes, it would be interesting if he likes Mondays. Well, he's showing up on it. Today is Monday, isn't it? Yes, today is Monday, so he's showing up on a Monday, which I suppose means that doesn't really care too much. I don't think he's fairly active today. He's got himself a little Monday squirrel, and no one minds a Monday squirrel, do they? I think a Monday squirrel is quite delightful if you're a cat. But look at that, isn't that cool? She really is growing up into a good-looking little girl. She's still got the ears much like most of Tandy's offspring have had. I don't know what it is about Tandy and why she produces offspring with such big ears, but she still has her big ear, or big ears, that she's going to grow into, but she's got such a serious little face already, and she's definitely inherited her mom's stare, because when she looks at you, even though she's quite cute and cuddly, can you imagine in a few years' time when she's a bit bigger, she'll have those same eyes that are piercing and able to kind of make sure that you know who's in charge of what's going on. So she's got that down pat, and is such a cute little female, though. I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing how she kind of goes and where she ends up settling later in life. Good. While we sit with her and see what she gets up to and whether or not she makes her way towards those impala or the tree, let's send you back across to Jamie in the Maasai Mara, who's got the zebras that, well, apparently are scratching themselves on some sort of rubbing post.
We interrupt your scheduled broadcast of what leopards get up to bring you the zebra scratching its bottom. We just had to share this with you. It's hilarious. Enjoy, is all I can really say. We've arrived at the burn, we've arrived with the migration, and we have found one zebra with a very, very itchy butt. Oh, we're done? Oh, no, we're not done. Now we're going behind the ear. There we go, this perfect rubbing post, that tree. There we go, that's the spot right there. Right behind the ear. Get the cheek involved as well. Rub and neck. There we go, move on down. All the way along down. Oh, now the shoulder. There we go, that's it. Get rid of all those itchy parasites. Yep, we're watching you, buddy. Please don't be shy on our account. Oh, and then the other butt cheek. There we go. That's it. Lean in. That's proper technique. That's practice technique right there. Full body weight. Nice scratchy bark. The perfect spot. Oh, needs a little readjusting there. Oh, better. Better? Much better. And what a shiny bottom it is now, too. That one looks like it could do with one. Nice good scratch, rub off all the dirt. I don't know about you, but I'm going to go with thinking that this is where the Olololos came to. Because if you look right across the rolling valleys of the green burn, you will see thousands upon thousands of ready meals waiting for them. Now this is where and one eland thrown in for good measure. There's a lot of food here. Enough food, one might even suggest, to feed 16 or so odd lions. Any more? Oh look, we've got another contender. Not another contender, another... Here we go. There we go, that's it. Okay, start with the left side. There seems to be there's an approach to this. First you start with the left, then you go to the right. Oh no, this one's breaking with tradition. We're going to start with the right properly. There we go. That's the other side of the log. Now we move to the shoulder. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Obviously not the itchiest zebra in the herd. Pisces says, watch out for those splinters. Absolutely. This must be done with great care and attention. There we go, getting underneath the cheekbone. Or the jawbone, I mean. Oh, now the muscle of the neck. A strange feeling of deja vu. I have done a very similar narration about a year ago when the migration was last here. Except that time it was a sign, not a stump. Don't be shy. It's okay. Everyone has to scratch every now and again. You can carry on. Promise. Oh, Romand, it's a difficult one to answer. I always find those questions challenging when it comes to comparing sight or any senses, because we don't actually see through the animal's eyes or senses. We don't know exactly. But Romand, just from practical experience, I would say that impala have very, very good eyesight. Just try to sneak up on an impala. It's very difficult. Well, What else? Giraffe have quite good eyesight. I've noticed wildebeest and zebra will also spot predators, and I'm pretty sure they're seeing them rather than necessarily hearing them. This one's seen something, but I don't think it's seen our lions. What else? I imagine the little antelope, although I think the little antelope are more geared towards listening than they are to looking, because they're so short that it really would serve them better to be able to hear something approaching rather than see it. Monkeys. Monkeys have spectacular eyesight, and baboons. That would be another good answer. They actually see very, very well. And of course, they've got the added advantage of being up high. We've already spoken about the fact that leopards could think of monkeys as potential prey. Well, I think the olololos are here. In this patch of gardenias, perhaps, although it seems filled with wildebeest at the moment. I'm not sure. It's also fascinating looking at the distribution of the migration. I'm looking at... Is there a car behind me? No. I'm going to show you the burnt area and the not burnt area, admittedly from quite far away. And you can get an idea of just how much animals love feeding on the fresh green grass after a burn. So the burn is actually split by the main road. So if you have a look from far away, on the left-hand side, that little loop in there is the long grass where the burn wasn't. It is divided by the road. This is where the burn is. Was. No longer is. Now green. Interesting, huh? Gary, do zebra ever get cross with other animals? Zebra get cross with pretty much anything. They're quite angry animals. They get cross with each other, largely. Kick each other, bite each other, fight each other. They can be very horrible to each other. I have seen them chase jackal. I've seen them chase hyena. I've seen them chase cheetah. Although all of those things sort of make sense because you want to, those are predators. I've seen them occasionally chase other antelope as well. So yes, zebra are quite grumpy animals, or can be quite grumpy animals. I've also been bitten by a zebra. Highly, highly unpleasant experience. Would not recommend. Like being bitten by a horse, I suppose. Just a wild one. The teeth are surprisingly sharp. Oh, so we might even get a kick here. Oh, so everybody's itchy today. It's after all the rain, I imagine. This one's... I don't know. I'm not sure that technique is the best technique. Who knows? Now, it sounds as though things are absolutely crazy on Juma. I'm not even going to tell you what's happened with Tristan. You'll just have to see for yourselves.
Well, things are pretty insane. Well, we've got Tlalamba that's slowly coming back towards Tandy, but this is not the only approaching spotted pattern. Husana is, I would say now, probably about 100 meters from where we are, slowly heading in this direction, and he's behind this termite mound, so Tandy won't see him until he's very close, which is going to be quite interesting. They're just kind of greeting each other now at the moment. I'm going to try and get us into a better position quickly, David, because it seems as though there's a nice little gap here. I don't know how good this gap is going to be, David. How's that? Is that better? And so we're a little bit higher now over the top of that bush, but look at that. Isn't that sweet? The two of them are just having a little greeting. Tlalamba's getting some love from Mom and making sure she's clean after her little escapades. She decided not to go up the tree. She decided rather to come back to Mom. And I wonder if those erupting impalas and squirrels that have alarm called here have not attracted Husana into this area. Now you can see Tandy, she's just loving being groomed. Isn't that sweet? It's always so nice to see the softer side of Tandy when she's with this little Tlalamba. It's very, very cute. How's that? That's amazing. Hello, you two. Now, I'm pretty sure Husana is going to make an appearance any time now, and who knows what that's going to mean for these two, because, well, we've got a carcass, which we know the last time there was a carcass, Husana robbed Tandy and Tlalamba, and so this might be the carcass of thieves, because not only has it been robbed from wild dogs by these two, it might then be robbed from them by Husana. We'll definitely not see a happy Tandy. She will probably chase Husana around, but as we saw the last time, is that he's so much more bulky that he's pretty persistent in his way of trying to get closer and trying to actually steal food from these two, and so I'm pretty sure he's going to end up, and after his carcass was stolen by Tingana, I suppose it's all got to go around. But look, Tandy's now aware that, hang on a second, something is not right here. Still going to groom each other. She's very much kind of perked up there. I thought maybe she had smelt something. There's a bit of a breeze, as you can see by the flowers in the beginning, just blowing in the breeze. Now, I don't see any sign of Husana. I don't know where he is in relation to us. He might bypass straight towards the tree, because obviously the tree itself is quite visible with that carcass in it. It's much more so than what these two are, and I don't think he's going to want to go straight to them. Now, is he behind us? Okay, so Husana is behind us, so we're going to take this onto various other platforms so that everybody gets a chance, and I'm going to just turn the car a little bit so we can actually see him, and while I do that, I'm going to hold off speaking. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to South Africa. We are coming to you live, and we're coming to you with a very special situation. What we've got is a beautiful female leopard that is sitting there. Her cub is just behind her in the form of Tlalamba. It's a little 9-month-old, well, actually 10-month-old cub now. And the thing about this is, while it is very special to see one leopard, it's even more special to see two. But there is actually a third leopard that is coming here. It's gone up into the tree itself. So right in the distance, there's a third leopard that's busy stealing her kill. Look, there you go. You see him? So this is amazing. This is a young male leopard that has stolen the kill. Now, Tandy, who's going to go there, she is related to that male. She's the older sister of that particular boy, and it's going to be interesting to see what her reaction is. This is absolutely phenomenal. We've got two leopards walking right past us, a third leopard that's not far away. Absolutely insane. Now, I forgot to almost mention, my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got David, and this is live and interactive, so you can ask any questions you may have, post any comments that you have in the comment section below, and we'll try to get through as many as possible. Now, I'm pretty sure Tandy's going to head towards where this male leopard is. It's absolutely phenomenal that they've managed to find it. Now, this male leopard just killed a squirrel quite far from here and managed to eat that, and what's probably happened is he's probably smelt something or heard some alarm calls for this female leopard, and then on top of that has then also seen it in the tree, because it's quite visible where it is. It's not a kill that she actually made, which is quite funny, because it's the tail of the stolen carcass, because this particular carcass was actually stolen from wild dogs this morning by her, and now has been pilfered by a young male who's going to set himself up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where the male is, because, well, these two will come and they'll follow us in this direction, but he's going to be sitting pretty. Once he's up in the tree like that, the female really has got no chance. She's not going to be able to chase him off. I can still see them. They're slowly coming through the gap, coming towards this area, but how incredible is this? 3 leopards in one sighting. We are very, very spoiled, that's for sure. Now look, you see he's noticed them now. So he thought he had found himself an easy meal where he didn't have to worry about another leopard, but now you can see he's spotted the other two, and it's going to be very interesting to see what his behavior is going to be now with these kind of other two around, whether or not he's going to worry. He doesn't look too concerned. He's just carrying on feeding. You can see the carcass is actually quite stripped already, and that's typical of wild dog kills. Wild dogs will strip carcasses like this, and then it was stolen, and the 2 leopards have fed off it through most of the day. We found it this morning, and so the 2 of them have really had a good feed, and both of them have got nice round bellies. But isn't that spectacular? How cool is that, guys? We're being very, very spoiled this afternoon. It is something incredible to witness. Like I say, 3 leopards together. It's really quite something. Now, April, you say Husana is learning from his dad. Yes, he is. So those of you who don't know the background to this leopard family that we've got the female leopard Tandy and Tlalamba, which is the mom and cub behind us. Then this is the male leopard Husana. Now, his dad is Tingana, who is also the dad of Tlalamba, and so that makes it quite confusing. And Tandy and Husana have the same mother, so it's quite a complicated story, but basically what's happened is that this young male has been hanging around the last few weeks, and he keeps making kills, and unfortunately they then get stolen by his dad, Tingana. And funnily enough, he's just come off a kill yesterday. They want to kill together with his dad, and his dad took it, and he didn't get any food, and so now he's done the same to his older sister, and so he's learning from his dad a little bit in the way he goes about things. But you can see that carcass is dangling perilously close to the ground. But here comes the other two leopards. They're going to come past now. I'm just going to try to get us in a bit of a better spot for when they approach so that we can actually see them coming. Let's just have a little look here quickly. It's going to be very interesting to see what their approach is going to be. Gary, yes, we are safe in an open vehicle, so the animals here have become fairly habituated to our presence and our being around. They know that we're not in any way a threat to them, but at the same breath, we're also not food. So they're not taught to eat us by their mothers, and that means that they generally are actually quite calm with us and around us. And so, we try and avoid them touching our cars in any way or kind of coming too close. If they put their paws on the car, we will then kind of start the car and try and move off. Now, the female leopard is just on our left-hand side. You'll also notice that there is a few cars that are around us, and that's tourists that have come out to come and see all the magic that is happening, and they are being absolutely spoiled. So, David, just to the right a little bit from where you are. A little bit more right, I think. There, just straight in on the right-hand side of that bush. She's just sitting in the grass there underneath that stump. Down a little bit, there she is. So you can see she's coming closer. Now I wonder if she's going to be brave enough to actually go up into the tree. But this is phenomenal. It's what amazes me with this little leopard family is that the cub for this mom obviously is around, and normally a young male leopard like this would be a threat to her and the offspring and the survival of her offspring. But because she knows this male, in some way she's spent a lot of time around him, and because he's so young and he's been very, very submissive to her up until now, she doesn't see him as too much of a threat. But look, she's scent marking, so that's a display to her, or to him, to say that I'm the dominant female here. What are you doing up there? And the problem is though she's also calling, so she's calling her cub to come closer, just to make sure that the cub stays with her and stays around her and doesn't drift off too far. But absolutely incredible. Also notice she'll start to salivate quite heavily as her kind of adrenaline starts to pump. So Nina, will Tandy take the risk to approach Husana with Tlalamba? Well, she is taking the risk. She's moved probably 90% of the distance towards this tree, and she's even calling little Tlalamba to come closer. So she's not really too worried about Tlalamba at this stage. I think Tlalamba is old enough that she can get away and move out of the area if she needs to be. But it's very interesting just to watch how they're going about it. Husana is in the tree, is growling a little bit, so he's just saying, you guys don't come any closer. I don't really want anything to do with you guys coming up here. And there he is. He looks quite relaxed though, doesn't he? Every now and then you'll see, look, there, he's just growling, and that's because Tandy's coming closer. Now I wonder if Tandy might even go up into the tree. The last time we had these two together, Tandy put on quite a display and really tried to chase Husana away from her carcass, but he was just too much power and too big for her that he eventually got up and stole it, and she then just walked around the area and kind of just tried to, find her cub, really, actually, because the cub ran off because the two of them had a bit of a fight. Now it seems as though Tandy is actually now lying down. Husana is up in the tree and is quite relaxed, and this is just the most ridiculous sighting. How amazing. Now it really is not going to be every day that you're going to see something like this. We are very spoiled this afternoon. It seems as though we've gotten into a bit of a stalemate now. I don't think, I would be very surprised if Tandy came all the way to the tree and even tried to go up there. She's just so much smaller than what he is that even though she's more experienced and she's probably better at fighting than what he would be because of his inexperience, he's only, like I say, 2.5 years old, so, he's really not a big leopard yet. And this thing is, though, he's just so much more powerful already. He probably weighs maybe, I would say, 30-40 pounds more than she does, even though she's a 12-year-old adult female. He's just that much heavier. You can see, look how big his head is, and he's got this powerful neck and shoulders, which is going to make it very difficult for her to go anywhere near him, and she knows that, so she's just going to just check around and see what's going to happen. And the three of them will sit here for quite some time. They'll all kind of mill about in the area until such time as he's finished that carcass. He's not going to go anywhere. What's going to be interesting, though, is that one day if his dad's going to arrive, because his dad, and where the carcass was yesterday that Tingana stole from Husana, is not far away at all, and it could very well mean that Dad arrives here too, which would just be an interesting showdown, because so far he's been very tolerant of his son, but those days are going to come to an end at some point, because basically Husana is getting bigger and stronger, and he's going to start becoming a threat. And if Tingana sees his son around his females and his offspring, his demeanor towards his son could change quite drastically and become a little more on the aggressive side. But absolutely wonderful. And you can see he's starting to feed a little bit. I think everything at this seems to have all, like I say, gone into a bit of a stalemate. I can't see the cub anymore. She seems to have gone and hidden. Tandy's lying down and sleeping, and Husana's starting to feed. So for now, we're going to say goodbye, and we're going to hope that you enjoyed this amazing sighting. If anything does heat up and Tandy does approach any closer, we will definitely bring it back alive, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next time. Well, guys, how amazing is that? It doesn't... What are you doing, Husana? He is a clown, isn't he? No, not difficult though when you just kind of use your paws to pick things up, and he's just making sure everything's not dangling too much, that he can use it as a meat pillow. He's now got himself a big pillow, and I wouldn't be surprised that he does decide to actually have a little sleep on top of that. Amazing though, absolutely incredible. Like I say, Tandy is completely asleep now. She's lying down, she's not even moving. You can see he's not growling, so the two of them are obviously just comfortable with what's going on. And Tlalamba, I don't know where she went. The last I saw her, she was kind of coming in this direction, and then I think with the hissing and growling and Tandy's scent marking, she then just went into a little bush to go and hide away, in case it's somebody that's a threat. But the instinct for Tlalamba is definitely there, that she needs to see cover when another leopard is around. So it's good on her. It's going to definitely keep her safer for longer. It's just a pity that our boy has moved this, because he's now put it into a tree part of the tree, which is very sort of thick and lots and lots and lots of branches in the way, which is not really that ideal. So it was quite nice where it was, but typical Husana, he's got to make himself a little bit more obscured. Right, now, in all likelihood, we're going to have to leave the sighting pretty quickly, because there sounds like about 40 million people that want to come and see what's going on here. So I'm not sure if we're going to be here for much longer, but in the meantime, let's send you back across to James and see what the plans are for the rest of the afternoon now that he's left the leopards.
Well, Husana's kind of kiboshed everything because he's gone and joined the other sighting, which means that we can't stay with him because there are too many people there now. And so we are going to go and look for the wild dogs. Now, the wild dogs were shouting this morning when I was sitting in the tent. They were going, woo, 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 woo. Sounded like a sort of strangulated owl. And so we're going to check the water points for them. We believe that they made 2 kills just before dawn today. One that the hyena stole from them, and Sydney found at Twin Dams a little bit earlier. And then almost certainly the one that Tandy has now. Look at the glorious golden puddle that is Treehouse Dam. It's actually quite a nice warm reflection off the water. Quite chilly today. It is peaceful, Emma, that is correct. Emma is directing, in case you were wondering, everybody. She is one half of the double red terror that operates in the final control. Who said that? Somebody said, yes, wild dogs, please, but I don't know who that was. My best friend, or is that the Twitter handle? Your best friend? Oh, the Twitter handle is your best friend. Okay, I got it now. I wasn't aware I had a best friend until... Yes. Is that Talisker single malt whiskey? Thank you, your best friend. Is that Christmas pudding? Is that chicken vindaloo speaking? Sorry everybody, let's go and find some animals. We'll do our best. Best friend. I'm quite looking forward to the coming season now, because I was looking through some tree stuff today and realizing, of course, that I haven't done a huge amount of tree stuff of late, and that's mainly because the trees have been, well, not much to look at. They've been undressed and naked over the last few months, and so, well, it's been best to let them just be naked in privacy, I feel. So our plan is now to go towards Twin Dams, where the hyenas stole the first kill, see if they are around there. I'm not sure that they are, because if I heard them all the way from the tent, I don't know. Well, I heard one of them, and he was shouting for the rest. He or she was shouting for the rest, obviously lost. Oh, there we are, there are the tracks. The question is, when are these tracks from? Tracks, they haven't been going down the road the whole time, so I've been driving over them. Yes, I have. That's wonderful. Okay, well, one of them's definitely come down here at some stage during the day. Possibly this morning, though. They don't look very fresh to me. I'm going to say they're from this morning, and I'm going to say we should continue with our original plan before trying to follow these. They were chasing something around here, some impala, I think. Sorry? Who's who? Poofy? Oh, Poofy Poof. Oh, I think, Emma, you mustn't be afraid to say Poofy Poof. It's a perfectly acceptable name in some circles. I think there's some rare Icelandic circles where I think Poofy Poof is an acceptable name. Very isolated community in Iceland. Otherwise, yes, well, I can understand why you're saying it quite quietly. Well, Poofy Poof, wild dogs maintain their territories by... Well, they don't really have territories. They roam far too widely to have territories, but they do kind of mark their home ranges, although they don't defend them very enthusiastically. And they mark them in the same way that all other animals mark their territories, by defecating and urinating in various strategic spots. But because their home ranges are so big, they do have overlapping areas. They will often overlap with each other, they often meet up with each other, not very friendlily, but they do meet up with each other. I'm also still searching for my first Wahlberg's eagle. It's got 3 days to get here. I was hoping it would be here before the 1st of September. I seem to remember them being here before then. Last year and the year before that. Turn the Game Drive radio down, because now everybody's deeply excited by the number of leopards there are where Tristan was. Not sure if he's still there or not. Right, we're approaching the southern boundary now. We shall take a turn towards the east and towards Twin Dams. Now, it's one of those rather awkward days where I don't know if I'm warm or cold. Right now I'm cold because we're driving into the wind and there's no sun. In case any of you were worried about my general well-being. Now, the reason I've slowed down here is that there's normally a little duiker that lives in this clearing, and I've seen him here many, many times. Naturally, the only time I want to stop and display him to anybody, he is nowhere to be seen. I was just listening to a story about some buffalo which are not near us. Let's go back to Husana, who I believe is now climbing a tree.
Well, yes, he is up a tree, and that's because he just stole Tandy's kill, and that's why he's up there and doing his thing. Now, Tandy and Kalamba were milling about just now, but it seems as though they might have actually moved off a little bit, and I wonder if they might be going for water at the dam. Might be worth James having a little look a bit later. But how cool was that sighting? Absolutely incredible. And this family dynamic between these leopards just continues to go and go and go and go and go. David, I'm going to go forward slightly for you because we're trying to wait for another car to just get into. Well, there was another car that wanted to be in the sighting, and so what I want to try and do is just straighten us up a little bit so that we are less of a profile, and so that the others can also come and also enjoy from this angle, because this is the best angle that there is. But how cool is that? Look at him, he's just kind of staring straight down at us at the moment. He's got his paw on top of the rib cage and is just kind of staring straight at us every now and then, and it's amazing because every now and then he pulls the rib cage and it moves, and so then he flexes his claws and you can actually see the claws coming out as well as his teeth. It's quite a cool kind of comparison between the two. And look at the size of his paw. You kind of wondered if you saw Tlalamba dragging this carcass this morning, work out the size of her with that rib cage and then look at the size of his paw on the rib cage. It should give you a fair kind of comparison as just to how big that paw actually is nowadays. Amazing. That's very cool. As much as it's sad that Kalamba and Tandy lost this kill, it's still, I mean, I feel for Husana. He's had a tough time of it. They've all taken from him. His last kill he just made, he got so little of it. That in a way, he also deserves a little bit. And also, Tandy and Kalamba didn't actually kill this. They stole it themselves. So I don't feel that bad, if I'm honest. I feel like they kind of got their feed out of it as well, and now Husana is getting his feed too. Now, he is not concerned at all, is he? He is just going to have a really nice feed. Amazing. Now, the other interesting thing about this is that I was talking to James this afternoon about it, is that there was no chance that any of us were going to find this kill. If it wasn't for elephants, there was not a single track that indicated where this kill was, and it would only have been if somebody had followed Husana here would we have known what had happened. But there really was no evidence of Tandy or Tlalamba, only because we just got a little bit of luck, where we kind of followed elephants and noises, and then all of a sudden, you know, out in front of us popped Tandy. And it just goes to show, I wonder how many kills she has that we never, ever, ever know about. Because had we not found her today, unless she had gone for water, we would never have found her at all in this area. We would have probably driven around for days looking for her. And it's such a thick, dense section, it would have been hard to actually pick her up in these thickets. Anyway, at least we got lucky and we did find it, and we've had the most splendid morning and afternoon. To have a leopard on foot the way that we did this morning, and then to have this sighting we've had this afternoon, is very, very, very special. And we're incredibly lucky that we've seen what we've seen over the past, I would say, 6 weeks of Husana's return. When did he actually return? What was the date that Husana was back, and how long has it been? It feels like it's been quite a while now, so I would imagine about 6 weeks or so that he's been in this area and has been around. So it would be really, really quite amazing that he's provided as much as he has in the last few months. Right, now before James' bird flies away, let's quickly send you across to him.
Look, everybody, there it is. It is the Wahlberg's eagly. The first one. And it's calling. I don't know if it's calling a mate or perhaps alarm calling. Just below it are some elephants that are moving away. But there is the first Wahlberg's eagly of the year. Hurrah! I'm most pleased. You can go back to the leopard if you want now, Emma. I was just very excited to show you the Wahlberg's eagly. And that is the pair of, or one half of the pair of the chocolate one and the white one that live not too far from here in a nest. I'm sure that's one of them. Let's go a little bit closer, see if we can't get a better look. For those of you who don't know, the eagle, of course, is a herald of the summer. It is a migratory eagle that arrives back around about this time of the year, and it's very exciting to see it back here because, of course, it means that summer's on the way, doesn't it? Very exciting. Just got here, probably could have been just today, actually. That makes me feel deeply hatty. Makes me feel very hatty. Not sure why it should make me feel hatty. Sometimes they do that when there is a predator below them, but I don't think that's the case today. We'll just follow up on the elephants as well, which are just in front of us. Obviously. Large grey things. Difficult to mistake. Romit, I think that the favourite food of the Wahlberg's eagle, sorry about this angle, Fergus, they're trying to get a few jackalberries here. The favourite food of this Wahlberg's eagle is probably lizards. They eat quite a few reptiles, but they'd very happily have devoured the squirrel that Husana devoured today. Having a little bit of a fight over some fruits. A bit of a family spat. Righty. I think let's just spend a little bit of time here and then we will try and go across to the Wahlberg's eagle, and perhaps we might even find the wild doggies. I think if the wild doggies were around here, they'd be shouting a lot more loudly, the elephants. Isn't that nice? They're listening. They're not feeding. I'm not sure what they would be listening to. Perhaps there are quite a few other elephants around here. Perhaps the matriarch of the herd here is calling beneath our ability to hear. It's a frequency too low for us. But it definitely looks to me like they're concentrating on something, like they have arrested their motion simply because, or not simply, but because they have picked something up, be it the scent of a predator or something like that. I'm just looking around myself here. Al-Shar, it's a bit of a mystery. Wahlberg's eagles go up into North Africa. They're not Palearctic migrants. They don't go into Europe and across into Asia. But we don't know exactly where they stop because I don't think ornithology is particularly important in various parts of where they do stop. I think survival is probably most important in the areas where they do stop. Just sort of north of the equator, south of the Sahara. So they won't go north of the Sahara Desert. Let's carry on. There's the other one quickly. There's the other Wahlberg's eagle. You got it there? I think we're going to the Mara, everybody. But there it is. Are we in the Mara? Not in the Mara? Going to the Mara? Staying here? See you tomorrow. Not staying here? Off air? On air?
But one that stays around throughout the years, and not one that we get, well, we do get excited for seeing them, but perhaps not as excited as the first Wahlberg's eagle sighting of the year. A pair of female ostriches, I don't see any males, And every now and again, a wildebeest that just panics and runs through the frame for no discernible reason other than it's a wildebeest and they like to run. So here she is pulling off leaves, possibly seeds and fruit, but most likely at this point leaves off the wildebeest. They're completely mental, they really are. They just do the craziest things. Okay, are we done now? Can I go back to talking about the ostriches? Yes, I think we sort of done. There's nothing chasing them, they're just running for the sake of it. Ostriches do that too, just as a matter of interest, and can run exceptionally fast as the wildebeest can, almost. Now, yesterday we were treated to a seriously amazing, interesting sighting of elephants chasing ostrich, and the ostrich trying to stand their ground. And we still don't know exactly what it was that was going on there. I meant to go back to that area and check, but I've been completely waylaid by other things this afternoon, so I haven't had a chance to. But I'd be interested to go and monitor that pair and see whether or not they did have a nest that they were protecting. Ostriches can be fiercely protective. Tame ostriches can be actually quite terrifying. They have powerful two-toed feet, and each toe is topped with a slicing claw, and they kick with those long, powerful legs, just as a zebra could. They kick with those long, powerful legs, and they can split skin. They could potentially even kill a predator. Leopards and lions don't really bother all that much with ostriches. They do occasionally grab them, but not often. Cheetah do. Sam, you want to know how fast an ostrich can run? I don't remember the top speed off the top of my head. It's around about 80 kilometers an hour. So it is just not quite as fast as a cheetah. So around about 80 kilometers an hour. What's that in miles? 40, no, 30, no, 40. I'm really bad at miles. What is it, 1.5? I've gone completely blank. I'm really useless with miles. I always have been. So around about somewhere around there. No, they are very, very fast animals at very top speeds. And for some reason people ride them as well, which I cannot think of anything more terrifying than getting on the back of an ostrich. Nor, in fact, do I feel that it's an animal that should carry humans. It's a bird. It doesn't seem very kind at all. They do have very solid bones, though. They are obviously flightless, which means that they are capable of carrying greater weights than your average bird. Why can't I convert? I really think there's something about being out in the Mara sun all day that does something to one's brains. And off the top of my head, 80 kilometers sounds a bit fast. 70 kilometers or so. 45, thank you very much. Emma tells me I would like to claim credit for that, but Emma tells me it's 45 miles an hour. Okay, so it is around 70 rather than 80. Good, so this is all going really well. This conversation has been fantastic. I've really completely given you the answer that you wanted. Zebras having a little mutual grooming session there. They can be nice to each other every now and again. Probably a group of boys over there, if I had to guess. Just watching what they're doing. And somewhere between grooming each other and then fighting. Or sparring, as the case may be. Youngsters, no herd of their own. And basically this is a way of forming a bachelor group so that they have a chance to learn the skills that they're going to need when it comes to fighting for a female. Let's go over to Tristan.
Well, you can see Tandy has just come in underneath the tree, so straight above her head is where Husana is. Husana dropped a piece of meat, and so Tandy has just walked in and taken it. And look at that, there the two of them are pretty much side by side. There's no real animosity. Husana growled a little bit, Tandy took a little bit of meat, and now the two of them are just going to part ways. And so Tralamba's also around here somewhere. She's behind us at the moment, and it's pretty weird to be between three leopards, I can promise you that are not really supposed to be together. It's one thing when it's a female and two cubs, but when you've got an older boy that is not actually the son of that female and she's allowing her cub to be this close, it's quite a weird thing. I mean, it's not something that we typically would normally see. It really is quite astounding how this little leopard family dynamic has played out, and it's really kind of changing the way we see the relationships between leopards. It seems as though they are far more sociable than we think, and it could be just obviously because he's not a sexually active leopard yet. He's not a dominant individual, and that means that her response to him is that much smaller. He's not scent marking over her, he's not vocalizing, and maybe that's why she just feels a little bit more comfortable. And also we know that Husana spent time with Tandy from just after Kruger disappeared, and so it's almost like she knows that this is just basically a young male that is really not in any way a threat to her, which is surprising because obviously, he has the power to kill Tlalamba, but for some reason they don't mind each other being as close as they are. It really is quite something to see them in close proximity like this, and look at that beautiful light on him. You can't ask for anything more than that. I mean, he could have been on a lower branch, but other than that, it really is spectacular light. You've got a bit of blue sky because the clouds have broken apart, which is wonderful for us, and we've got this golden light on his coat, and he has a gold coat as it is. He's not a very light colored leopard, he's quite golden in color, and so it's really kind of accentuating that coloration. Now I thought we might have seen a little bit more of an interaction when Tandy approached the tree, but he obviously is quite happy with his bit of the carcass, and Tandy, well, she was happy just to take the scrap off the bottom, much like Hyena would have done back in the day. But no little growl here and there, but otherwise it was quite civil. That's actually far more civil than I thought. Husana, your belly's getting so big you're going to fall out of the tree. He's battling to kind of keep the roundness at bay, and I don't know why he chose that spot to feed. It really is not a very comfortable area at all. I think he just wanted height so that if anybody does come up, that he's got space to maneuver and kind of jump out and around. You see it with Tingana. Every time Tingana is stolen from him, he ends up just jumping over Tingana and kind of utilizing other branches to get down. So I suppose this gives him a way out to use a different part of the tree if another leopard does come in. It would be amazing if Tingana arrived here. Can you imagine if they had all four of them together? I still want to see that, and the day is coming. We're going to see all four of them coming together at some point in the next few weeks, I'm sure of it. It just can't keep happening that we're getting three of them together at times and that the fourth one doesn't arrive. It's especially around carcasses like this. There's got to be a day where Tingana somehow sniffs it out and arrives in the area and makes his presence known, because, well, if anybody can smell a carcass, it is our big dominant male Tingana. So that day is coming, and I think that might be the defining moment as to how this is all going to play out and how incredible this actually is. If we see Tingana relaxed with Husana around Tandy and Tlalamba, then I don't know. Then Tingana is probably the most accepting male leopard that I've ever seen. It's crazy to think, though, that it amazes me, because if we go back to 2 years ago, well, a little over 2 years ago now, Tingana was the villain. Everybody made him out to be this horrible leopard that eats other leopards, and that he's dangerous and he's not good for cubs, and he shouldn't be around the cubs because he's going to kill them and kill the females. And he was really vilified as this horrible leopard by a number of people. And now I see a lot of people who were the ones vilifying him saying that he's the most amazing father, and it's interesting how perceptions can change very, very quickly when we actually get to spend a lot more time with these animals and we kind of start to understand a bit more about them. I think he was unfairly vilified for all of that. I think he was just acting on an instinct that he maybe smelt another male, and when he attacked her, you probably find he didn't actually mean to kill Shaluva. We're talking about the Shaluva incident where he killed her, and I don't think he actually meant to kill her. I think it was more that he attacked her thinking there was a male in the area, or even that she might have been a young male, and one bite in the right place, and that was the end of that. And obviously once she's dead, eating her is pretty much what a lot of the cats do. I mean, we've seen lions eat each other, we've seen leopards do it as well, and I've seen a mother leopard eat her cub. It's all just nutrients at the end of the day. Once it's dead, there's no emotional attachment by those cats to that animal in any way. But that light is just ridiculous now, isn't it? I think it looks fantastic. Right, well, we'll keep watching Husana, see what he gets up to, see if Tandy comes back or little Tlalamba arrives. In the meantime, let's send you back across to James, who's got an antelope that looks far better off than this impala.
Yes, look at our antelope. Doesn't it look good? It's so good that it's able to fly. Fantastic flying antelope there. Beautiful. I've got another 2 flying antelope, if you wouldn't mind, up there, Fergus. That particular flying antelope is known as a saddle-billed stork. And the ones there in the far distance are some migrants, some white storks. Yes, they're there somewhere. There you are. That's it. Right, there you are. Let's count. No, left. Yeah, no, they're behind that beastly tree. No, that's all right. Don't worry, Fergus. We will get through it. No, that's a tree. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, the antelope is over there. It is, of course, a kudu. And it's eating an atalgwari. That's interesting. Very tart leaves. This is a difficult time for kudus. They're unable to graze effectively, so they must browse. And most of the leaves that are around at this time of the year are in fact fairly tannin rich. Lots of chemical defences they have. And so the kudu has to be quite careful. And in very nasty drought years, you'll find that sometimes they'll actually die from their stomach stopping up because of the ingestion of too much tannins. Right, the first thing was a saddle-billed stork. The other ones that we didn't get were some white storks coming in from Europe. Very nice to see. Oh, and some impala. Let us stop for impala. One must stop for impala once a day. Hello. How are you? Had a good day? Eh? Not being attacked? It's always nice not to be attacked, I find. I find a day free of being attacked is a good day indeed. Yes, well, you chaps seem very calm, collected. Clearly haven't been attacked of late. Good. I will tell you there are some wild dogs around, so just be careful. Yes, one of them looked up when he heard that. Thought to himself, I don't fancy seeing any wild dogs today. We haven't found any further sign of them, by the way, everyone. So not sure where they are, but we will do our best to find them and other interesting creatures as we drive around here. Lovely little peaceful sighting. Somewhat ruined by somebody flying an aeroplane about 3 feet off the ground over our heads. Hold on, everybody. When I say duck, duck. Duck. Well, doesn't he know we're on game drive? I don't think he cares. Hang on a second. Let's go. Yeah. Let me turn around a bit. Sorry, Ferg. You get these other stalks there. You got them. There we go. Look at all the migrants coming home. I know Steve did see a white stork, I think, a few weeks ago. But there are a whole lot more of them. Hello, how was your winter? Welcome back. Good to have you here. Makes us feel like summer's on the way. As does the heat. Wonder where they're going. No, I think they're going further than Chitwell. Although, no guide monkey Egyptian geese reside with us. They do not bother to go anywhere else other than here. I think they're heading down to the south of the park. Maybe even further south than that, into Natal perhaps. Very nice. I hesitate to say this, but this fellow is either failing to land or he's doing some acrobatics. Yes. Yes, he come back with the shopping. All right, let's carry on. He's landed, I can hear. Whew. A little bit worried. Anyway, let's go back to the Maasai Mara, to the commonest antelope that they have over there. It is, of course, the oribi. No, it's not.
The Mara with some happy wildebeest cantering along, kicking up their heels in joy, and perhaps, you know, just appreciating the beauty of the evening before night falls and they become haunted by predators. Or hunted, I suppose, would be a better word, but haunted works as well. The little ones cantering along, the big ones doing so as well. Now they are all spread out far and wide, and that will only last until it gets dark, which by the looks of the sky will happen quite early this evening. Oh, I'm having the James Henry effect. Now, once the sky darkens, the sun sets, and it becomes very difficult for them to see, they'll actually group together in massive, tightly packed herds, and that's the way that they spend the evenings. Because, of course, when night falls is when most of the predators are actively trying to get them. Even cheetah, as we learned from our time following them through the migration last year. Tonight's going to be moonless, it's going to be pitch dark, and it's going to be very, very scary for them. And I can tell you that as soon as it gets dark, I'm going to be as far away from a large herd as I can possibly get myself. After one very scary stampede experience last year, it is not something I wish to repeat in the dark. During the day, wildebeest are fine. They still stampede, but for the most part they control themselves quite quickly. At night, all rules are forgotten and they run in swirls. And when 100,000 wildebeest run, they don't have far to go, or they don't have anywhere to go. I'm really sorry, I have absolutely no idea what Emma just asked me. I know it was a question from Sam. It was because I was just thinking about turning on my engine. Oh, Sam, do the carnivores migrate with the herbivores? Migrate would be the wrong word. Nomadic male lions, for example, will follow the herd to a certain degree, yes. So they do that because at that point they're young, they don't really have an established territory or a reason to stick around. They've got no dependent offspring that would be killed if they were to disappear. So they disappear and they follow the food. And maybe, just maybe along the way, they might find themselves a territory. Generally speaking, lion prides don't move around all that much because they're territorial, and why would they? But this year, with the severe lack of food that we saw before the migration, the fact that it arrived late, and the fact that the predators were as hungry as they are, we noticed a serious movement of the lions here. But that's not really a migration. That's a small movement of a isolated population. Scavengers like vultures, you could almost term it a migration because they do follow it. And they're just waiting for which I can actually smell. I think a hyena's buried one somewhere in this water. Yeah. I'm sure a hyena's found itself some food and stashed it in there. They love doing that. I don't know why. Wow, we are really in the migration proper now. Amazing. Sound effects. I thought it would be easy to find these olololos. I'm getting conflicting information. Some people are saying they've gone, oopsie, better concentrate, up towards the escarpment. I don't know. I don't want to go up there right now. It's going to be an absolute mudslick. And I'll get stuck. Then I'll have to call Brent because he's the only person here who can come and get me. And then he'll never let me live it down. I'm not sure that's what I'm going to do. What I really want to do, though, is show you warthog babies. The little warthogs have started having their babies at this point of the year, which means there are tiny little piglets wandering around. Watch this. Don't stop doing it because I've stopped now. That's the problem with wildebeest. They stop being funny when you stop to look at them. Idiot. Don't look at me like that. Just rubbing his face on a pile of dirt. Beautiful. Well done, buddy. Let's just keep an eye on him because he might do something funny. Like go and chase another male. Because he's obviously feeling a little territorial there. Minamu, the hardest animal tracks to distinguish. Cats can be very difficult on hard surfaces. Pangolin can be very, very difficult because they almost look like scuff marks. Certain birds, light birds, frogs can be quite tricky. Depends, of course, on the substrate that you're talking about. They're the vultures I was talking about, or one flying past. Okay, he's not going to. The herds are starting to move now. They're starting to want to gather together in that group that I was talking about, that massive herd. I don't know how they coordinate who goes where. It seems to just sort of happen organically. Much canoeing. Look at that. Oh, a sea of wildebeest. There we go. We've got some fighting. A youngster not quite ready to challenge that male. Imagine trying to keep track of each other in this. I mean, if you're a wildebeest, that is. A lot of the youngsters were only born in February. They're still quite young. They've got to stick close to mum. Difficult to do in this chaos. So a lot of the calls that you hear is sort of a high-pitched sound. I can hear it behind me, but you won't be able to hear it because of where it is. But a high-pitched call is a youngster trying to find mum. I find the most distressing sight in the migration is the little ones running around on their own. I'm tempted to pull a Brent and tell you all to send through your best wildebeest impressions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. He's done that before with mating leopards, and we all had to participate. I've done so many repeated wildebeest calls, I don't think I even need. I don't know. How many of you would be willing to send through your video of, or a sound recording, I suppose, of your imitation of a wildebeest? Archie, do you think you can imitate a wildebeest? No. Silence. Oh, look at this little one. He's lost. He's very lost. Oh, shame. Oh, while I wait to see who of you is brave enough to take me on that particular dare, let us go rejoin Tristan and see what noises Husana's making.
Well, Husana is growling, and that's because Tandy is right here in front of us, scraping and scent marking and doing her thing. And so there's a very unhappy Husana in the top of the tree that's trying to tell. She's busy chuffing. Look at that light. Oh, that is spectacular. How good is that? That is very cool. Now look, he's growling. He's very upset that Tandy is walking past. Amazing. Look at that. There we go, Tandy and Husana. You can actually hear him a little bit. Oh, you grumpy boy. You tell your sister this is mine now. She's done that to him a few times, so I suppose he's learnt that it's basically the way things go. Now you can see she's going to walk straight past us and go down. I think she's going to go try to find Kalamba now, and she's been chuffing a little bit and kind of calling, but that light on them is just absolutely insane. It really is spectacular this afternoon, and we've been spoilt once again by our little leopard family. Really have. I wonder where little Columba is though. The last time I saw her was behind me, so I don't really know where she ended up going. I think that she's probably somewhere around the area. I don't think she would have gone far. Tandy's kind of calling every now and then. Interestingly enough, Tandy's walking to where the carcass, where we first found her this morning. She's kind of heading off in a straight line, and that's where the carcass was to start the day. It was in that direction, so she's just heading in that area. I think she's going to go look if there's any other scraps that are around. Maybe she also saw her cub head in that direction and is going to have a little look if there's maybe something more to eat, while Husana just scoffs down the rest. Now this carcass is not going to last much longer. The way he's going at it, there's going to be very, very little left by this end of this evening, and that means that probably all three of them won't actually be here tomorrow. I'd be very surprised actually if we had any sign of the three of them here. I wouldn't be surprised actually that all three of them end up at the pan though at some point during the evening. Right, we'll carry on sitting, we'll see what goes on, and maybe James wants to head into this area given that it's just us now, and he can follow Tandy and Columba as they go, or stay with Husana if he wants to. But in the meantime, he's got a kudu that he wants to show all of us.
Yes, an antelope indeed. There it is. It is a nyala. Oh, there are the two African hawk eagles chasing each other, Ferg. Oh, they're not very happy. This is where their eagle's nest is. Let me just quickly make sure that they are both African hawk eagles and that one isn't something else. Unfortunately, my binoculars had attached themselves to everything else in my box, so I couldn't bring them to bear. It's definitely an African hawk eagle, that one. Yes, the one in front is as well. Both African hawk eagles. I thought maybe one was a gymnogene that had perhaps threatened the nest of the African hawk eagle, but it was not. That was wonderful. Good. Shall we continue along here? I think we should. Our antelope is hidden behind a thick bush. Yeah, we might get a shot there. Might be quite nice in the setting sun. That'll do. There we are. With his oxpecker. Young bull on his own. Not that young. Possibly trying to seek out some ladies. Not sure when their breeding season would be. It's definitely not now, though. They'll be calving in the rainy season, December, January. And so I imagine their breeding season is exactly 9 months before that. I think that's their gestation period, 9 months. So they won't be breeding now. That's quite possibly why he's on his own. And there are some more oxpeckers now having a spat over the ticks that litter his body, being sucked out all their blood. I must say, I think I quite like to have oxpeckers on me. I think it must feel like being tickled all day long, don't you think? Yes, as long as you don't have an open wound, as Fergus says. It wouldn't be very nice then. But luckily, with our opposable hands and ability to reach the rest of our bodies, we could just slap them off. Yes, it is quite nice, isn't it, Laura Moore? That rust-coloured forehead that looks a little bit like a female's forehead. It's the same colour. And, of course, like his forehead was when he was a youngster. He just winked at you, Laura Moore. Did you see that? He's just winked at you again. I think he's quite a fan. And again. Well, Laura Moore, you must be blushing at this sort of attention. Look at him. What a shaker and a mover he is. An operator. Eh? You smarmy fellow. You know, that you're possibly pushing it a little far right now. He's very confident in himself, isn't he? Winking away at us. Not a care in the world. His shiny white lipstick, obviously to his satisfaction. They always remind me of children who've just been at ice cream with their mouths covered in white like that. Or my brother. My brother is a year younger than me, and he looks like that after he's eaten an ice cream. Alrighty, we're going to have a school drive now, everybody. We are going to be focusing on animals and what they eat. And so, well, I think the best place to start with that would be with Tristan, Tandy, and Kalahama and Husana.
Well, indeed, James, I hope that I'll be the best person to start with, because we've got such a special sighting this afternoon in the form of a male leopard that is having a really good snack on an impala. So he's busy up in the tree feeding. Now, it is a very, very warm welcome to West Lake Charter. I hope that you are going to have the most wonderful afternoon with us, and you're going to enjoy spending time with all of Africa's wild animals. And you've joined us on a very special afternoon because, well, it's always very nice to see a leopard. It's not something we see all that often. They are shy, elusive animals, and so we get very lucky when we get to spend as much time as we do in this part of the world with relaxed leopards like we are now. My name is Tristan. On camera I've got David, and remember that you can ask lots and lots of questions, and you just give them to your teacher, and your teacher will then send them through to us. Now, I was saying that it's a special afternoon because not only do we have this one leopard that's up in the tree like that, you can see he's busy eating the last of a impala, and that's probably something that leopards eat the most out here. It's one of their favorite meals. An impala is a medium-sized antelope. It's very similar to your deer, and it gets basically hunted by everything out here, but leopards really like them. They come across them quite regularly because impalas are so common, and so they hunt them very, very often. Now, what happened with this impala is that it was killed during the early hours of this morning by a pack of wild dogs, and the wild dogs then unfortunately got robbed by a female leopard and her cub. Now, the female leopard and her cub were here somewhere just now, and then this male leopard came in and he stole it from them. So this carcass has been stolen not once but twice, and it just goes to show you that size and power is everything out here, because those wild dogs, unfortunately, they got out-muscled by a leopard, and it was only a small pack of wild dogs, probably one or maybe even two wild dogs, and then a bigger male leopard came and out-muscled the female leopard, and so that's why he's ended up with the spoils and how he's going to town on it. Now, you would think that a impala, which weighs probably close to about 160 pounds, would take a while to eat, but it's taken about 12 hours to get to just bones that you see like that he's busy cleaning up and eating at the moment, and he's going to be crunching down and trying to eat as much as possible out of it. So, Brandon, it depends where you are in South Africa. If you're here in this part of South Africa, in the wilderness areas where all of the big animals roam, the top predator undoubtedly is lions for the most part. Now, I say that hesitantly because sometimes hyenas can actually be the top predator, and that's only if they have lots and lots of numbers. So if you get big clans of hyenas, well, then they will actually be quite dominant, and they will even chase lions sometimes. But one-on-one, if we had to have a lion, a leopard, a hyena, a cheetah, a wild dog, and it was just a single individual, then you would find that the lions would be way, way, way on top. They really are the biggest and the strongest of all of the predators out here, and they outmuscle most of the animals most of the time, and especially big male lions. They really are massive animals, and they can quickly push others away. Now, you can see he's quite high up in that tree, so once he's finished feeding, which I'm pretty sure will be fairly soon, because you can actually see his belly is starting to get really big. If you see, look where he's lying there, you see, look how fat his tummy is. So I think he's going to put his carcass nicely, finish one of those legs, and then I think he's going to find himself a place to lie down. Now, he's already eaten a squirrel this afternoon as well. He caught a squirrel earlier and ate that too, so he's being a little piggy and eating a lot. Liar, how do leopards get up there? Well, you can see, look how agile he is in the tree. They've got very sharp claws that as they go up the tree, they'll sink their claws into the tree, and then they pull themselves up with very strong, powerful legs and neck and shoulders. And then they've got that tail that's quite long. You see the tail? Look what he's doing. He's trying to get the carcass so that it doesn't hang too much in case it's going to fall. And he's going to try and pull that piece off so that he can eat that. Now, that tail will help balance him as he walks around in that area and tries to kind of figure out how he's going to eat this. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes to the ground to eat this one, because it's not going to be that easy to feed on. Oh, no, he's now put himself in a very difficult place for us. I'm going to have to try and figure out another way to get us into position so that we can actually see him better than that, because he's kind of hidden behind the tree now a little bit. So we're going to just try and move quickly. Right, now, while I reposition and try and get into a better view so we can see our male leopard a little bit better than what we have now, I'm going to send you to my friend Jamie, who's all the way up in East Africa, in Kenya, and she's sitting with one of the most amazing spectacles in the whole world.
But Tristan will get a better view for you. And a very warm welcome to the students joining us, and welcome to the Maasai Mara in Kenya. So you've just travelled across half a continent to the Maasai Mara, which is an amazing thing. We're right up in central East Africa. So we're in East Africa, essentially, and we're in the midst of the Great Migration. So just have a look at what is all around us. Now, I would ask you to count them, but that would be an impossible task because there are just so many wildebeest here. Probably in this particular group, around about 500,000. It's difficult to even, I think, conceive of those numbers of animals. It's amazing. Absolutely extraordinary. And every year they make a long, long trip from Tanzania to Kenya. And the reason they do that is for the grass. So they travel, this many animals traveling together. If they were to stay in one place, they would eat all the grass around them and there would be nothing left. The grass would not have any time to recover. So what they do is they move in this massive, I suppose you could describe it as a circle. It's not quite as simple as that, but you can think of it as a circle, all the way from Tanzania, which is where they give birth to their babies, and then they come up right through into Kenya around about July, August. It's been late this year because of the rain, but they've come all the way up here, and then around about October or so, they start moving back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drive in a little bit, and you can have a look at the number of wildebeest and just marvel at how many there are. So around about 1.5 million wildebeest will make the migration, along with a couple of 100,000 zebra. Now the zebra usually come first, and the reason that the zebra usually come first is because they are able to utilize a different part of the grass to the wildebeest. So although they like nice green short grass, they can actually eat the longer parts of the grass. And that's because they have different digestive system. So I don't know how many of you have ever been around horses. Perhaps you've seen what horse dung looks like. It's very, very grassy. And the same applies for for zebra, because essentially they digest very quickly. They can eat and digest, eat and digest, eat and digest. They don't have to spend too much time getting the nutrients out. Whereas wildebeest are like cows. So they're ruminants. They eat the food, they bring the food back up, and they chew it. And I've completely forgotten to introduce myself, I think. My name is Jamie, and there is a gentleman called Archie behind me. He's operating the camera, and he's going to show you all of the amazing things that we're seeing here in Kenya. It's raining a lot at the moment, so there's lots of nice green grass for the wildebeest to eat. Now, while they're here, what they're doing is they're running around trying to keep track of each other. So you've got these little ones over here. Now, Eli, if I understand you correctly, you want to know how many animals will move south during the migration instead of north, east, or west. Now, that's a tricky one because it depends on the time of year. Now, out here in the Maasai Mara, there's something called a loiter herd, which is around about 50,000 or so wildebeest that stay in Kenya and migrate north and then come back south when the migration gets here properly in around about July. Whereas most of the herd will soon be turning around and going back to the south because it's that time of year. They'll have finished eating all of the grass, not all of the grass, but most of the grass, and it's time for them to leave this area and for them to for the grass to recover. But it depends on the time of year. So certain birds in South Africa fly north when it's our winter and your summer. So they fly north back into the northern hemisphere, or perhaps into Central Africa where there's more food. Then, when it's springtime in the southern portion of Africa, which would be your autumn or your fall, they will then turn around and fly south. So it really depends mostly on the time of year, and almost always they're doing that because of food availability. So they're following where the food is going to be best. And mostly, just the same as from where you are, the food, whether it's insects or plants, is better in summer, spring and summer. Look at this little one. Hop, 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 hop. I love watching animals play. This little one is playing. He's trotting around enjoying himself. Wildebeest are fit, strong animals. They can run for ages. And that's what this little one is practicing. Run, 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 run. You see that high bounce? That's that little antelope's way of practicing, saying to predators, don't eat me. I'm far too quick. I'm far too strong. Look how fast I am. I'm dodging, diving, jumping. There's no point. I'm so healthy. But mostly I think it's just doing it because it enjoys it. Trot, trot, trot. Now, a lot of people, a lot of scientists say that antelope don't play. I disagree. I think baby antelope do play. A lot. And gone. Off into the rest of the herd. Just having a wonderful time, enjoying the evening before it gets dark. Which is what we're going to do as well. I know we're looking at wildebeest here, but we're looking, actually, for some lions to show you. Now, we know that there was a big pride that was seen yesterday moving in this direction. Now, they will also be coming here for food. So they'll be searching for food as well, and as it starts to get dark here, that's when it's easiest for them to hunt. Speaking of it getting dark, apparently it's getting dark in South Africa as well. Let's go and see what James has to say.
Yes, it is getting dark, and welcome to this end of our little sunset safari. There is the sunset going down. I know you're all learning about food and that sort of thing. I can't tell you much about what the sun eats. Well, I can actually. The sun eats hydrogen. It eats hydrogen and makes helium. So if you're ever wondering what the sun eats, that's what it is. It eats hydrogen. Isn't that a beautiful picture? And the other thing I can tell you about food is that I'm quite hungry. And at some stage in the not too distant future, I'm hoping to be having a small snack. What we're on the search for are some wild dogs. Now, wild dogs, very special African animals, one of the rarest carnivores that there are. In fact, the second most rare carnivore in Africa, and that's what we're looking for. They're like wild wolves of Africa, basically. They don't look like wolves. They look like sort of... They've got sort of Mickey Mouse heads with camouflage bodies, basically. That's what we're looking for. My name is James. Keep sending your questions and comments. It'd be lovely to hear from you as we try and find the wild dogs. And the wild dogs, of course, are going to eat anything meat out here, from the size of a duiker to a scrub hare. A scrub hare is about this big. A duiker weighs in the region of 40 pounds. And an impala they would also take, possibly like the one that's in the tree there with Husana. You've seen Husana, obviously. And so we might be very lucky and find them. This is the time of the day when they start to go hunting. They're called crepuscular hunters, which means they hunt at dawn and at dusk. And a little bit after dusk, so just after it gets dark. But they'll start to move around about now. They'll often come down to water to drink first, and then they'll go off hunting. So that's what we're hoping to find. And the reason we're hoping to find them is that we had them around here earlier this morning. What is going on there? No, it's a stick. Never mind. I saw a stick, everybody. It looked a bit like a wild dog, but it wasn't a wild dog. It was a stick. A thick stick. So the biggest predator, mass-wise, that the animals are afraid of here is a lion. A lion is by far the biggest predator that we get here. A big male lion will weigh in the region of 400 pounds or so that's very large. They will be the biggest. After that comes the spotted hyena, weighing in much less, at about 200 pounds or so, even less than that. And then comes the leopard, and then comes the wild dog, and then comes the cheetah, and then comes the wild dog. But wild dogs, of course, are in packs, and so they make animals very scared indeed. Much more scared than I think you'd find than they are of leopards. Alrighty, we're going to go up towards a clearing here. They tend to come towards the clearings as they hunt, and they do that because the animals are in the clearings. They come up into the clearings to get away from the thick bush at night because, of course, the antelope don't see so well at night. Alrighty, let's go back to Tristan. Husana's not too far from here. He will hope that he doesn't see any wild dogs.
Well, no wild dogs just yet, James. Hopefully they will arrive somewhere. If wild dogs arrive here, we're going to have pandemonium because, well, there's lots of leopards. Now, that's not Husana that you see lying there. That's the female leopard called Tandy. So Husana is in the tree quite far away, and she's just here busy grooming herself. Her cub was here as well, Kalamba, and they were both around, and she's just cleaning herself up now because she's been kind of walking around this area, picking up little bits and scraps of meat that have been left behind after she's been feeding, and also with the wild dogs that killed it earlier, they kind of left little pieces all over the place, and so that's what she's doing now. She's just cleaning her paws a little bit and making sure she gets any bits of meat or anything like that off them. Leopards have to be very careful about when they feed and cleaning themselves because bits of blood and meat can, one, attract flies, which are very irritating. Two, it mats their fur and it can lead to, disease and infections and those kind of things, which are never ideal for a leopard. And so that's why they're very good at cleaning themselves. But you can see, look how full she is. She ate a lot during the course of the day. This male leopard only just stole it from her. Now, where she's walking, she's actually heading to where the male leopard is. He's coming out the tree. Hold on. He's going to come out the tree. Let's just quickly get round. This is going to be amazing. We're going to see what happens now. So, Kelly, a leopard will steal a prey animal from a dog because it can come out with claws and teeth and its size and its aggression, and the dogs will get a fright and they'll run, and then it can grab it and run off. Now, where's the little cub? The little cub was somewhere on the right-hand side here. She's quite big now. She's about 10 months. There she is there. I can actually just see her just behind us. Don't know if you can see her, David. So she's just in the background over there. Through a little bit to the right, David. There she is, straight. And you can just see her ears in the grass. So there's one leopard, and then we've got the other two that are around. Now you can see she's quite small in comparison to the other leopards. She's got a cute little face. She's a very cute little leopard, and she's one of our favorites. We've been seeing her since she was only about 3-4 weeks old. So we've known her for the majority of her life. She's 10 months old now, and is still very small, and she's a bit nervous because of, obviously, there's this male leopard, and Mom's interactions with her growling and hissing makes that her be a little kind of nervous of what's going on. Now, our male leopard might go back into the tree if he sees the female. He's carrying a leg of the impala, so she's here and he's there in front of us. I think he dropped the leg, and that's why he was a bit kind of worried about it being taken by somebody else. And so I wonder how this is all going to play out. But definitely we're seeing all of them kind of coming together. It is absolutely incredible. And the thing is that for you guys, is that you won't actually know this, but leopards are generally solitary, so leopards don't actually like to be around each other. Normally what you find is that a female leopard, she only really spends time with her little cub. That's really only the kind of time that she spends with any other leopard. But then what you'll find is the males are complete loners. So to see 3 leopards like this is a very special thing. It's not something we'll get to see very often, and we have been very fortunate to be able to show you. You guys are lucky. I know lots and lots of people that have been coming on safaris and going to the bush for many years and have not seen a leopard, and you've got to see 3 in one afternoon. It's absolutely amazing. He's not too worried now. She's going to walk back to her cub. So I'm going to just go and see what she's up to. So, Natalie, leopards eat everything. They are an animal that has the biggest varied sort of diet of all the carnivores. So you'll find that they eat anything from insects, so sometimes they'll eat little bugs, to they'll also eat mice, they'll eat birds, they'll eat mammals like an impala, they'll even eat sometimes as big as baby giraffe or baby elephants. Now look at this, she's right next to us. So she is about 1 meter from the side of the car. Look, there's the car there. So she's sitting very, very, very close to where we are. No, don't go to the toilet. No. She's going to go to the toilet. This is going to be very stinky. It's not nice when they go to the toilet right next to us because it smells very bad. You can imagine something that eats rotting meat when they go to the toilet. It really isn't very pleasant. And so my poor nostrils are going to be catching on fire now as this singes its way down. Very horrible. Anyway, it didn't look like too big a one, so I think we'll be okay. We're just going to have to be careful that we don't drive over it, otherwise it sticks in our tires. Now there comes the little cub, is slowly coming towards where Mom is, so she's calling her. Now if we listen and we keep quiet for a little bit, you might hear her chuff a little bit. So no, she's just sniffing around, so sometimes she'll make a little sound, or she'll go and she'll do these little soft contact calls, and that's to tell her cub everything's okay, you can come closer. It's not easy to hear it. But there we go, they're going to join up now. The little cub is just behind the bush there, so they should join each other fairly shortly. Isn't this wonderful? These are my favorite animals, so I'm in absolute heaven when I spend time with them. I love spending time with leopards, and this afternoon has been a real treat. She's still calling. I thought her cub would pop out with her. Anyway, we'll sit and see if Tandy's cub is going to come out and play with Tandy. In the meantime, though, it sounds like Jamie has got a very special little surprise to show you in the Maasai Mara.
Speaking of little cubs, we've got something very special to show you. A cub that looks to me to be around about 2 or so months old. A spotted hyena cub. How cool is this? This looks like Mum. Hello, girl. Or maybe not. Difficult to tell with spotted hyenas. There are lots and lots of them about. And since we are so close to this den site, I thought I'd bring you here to have a very special look at a hyena clan known as the Happy Zebras, which seems like a very silly name for hyenas, but it is the name that's been given to them by the people who research them. And it actually makes sense when you go into the story. Now, these guys are going to really, really enjoy the arrival of the migration because just like lions, they are apex predators. So everybody always thinks of them as scavengers. They do scavenge, absolutely they do, but here in the Maasai Mara, they actually hunt over 95% of what they eat. And not only that, they will not just catch a zebra and eat it, they will eat the bones as well. And that's because they've got very, very powerful jaws that can crush the bones of other animals and make sure that nothing is wasted. So they actually do some very important things out here in the Maasai Mara. Now there's lots of hyenas here today. You'll notice that I'm speaking quite softly. That's because these guys aren't as comfortable with vehicles as some of the other hyenas in the Maasai Mara. And as I said, there is a tiny little one. Look how cute. Now everybody always hates hyenas, but we here at Safari Live love them, especially the tiny fluffy ones. It will start to get its spots at around about 3 months, so it's still got a way to go. Now, Desiree, you want to know what a hyena's favorite food is. Desiree, I'll tell you a little secret. It's not really its favorite food, but they really, 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 really like to chew on my rubber mud flaps on the tires. That's one of their favorite things. They like to come and chew on those. And that's because hyenas are very curious. But in terms of their favorite food to eat, they're not picky. Hyenas are not fussy at all. Oh, someone just kicked the cub back into the hole. Whoopsie. Silly things. Now, hyenas are not fussy. They will eat all sorts of things, whether it is zebra or wildebeest or anything like that. So it's difficult to say whether or not they have a favorite food. But because they're so clever, they have learnt to take advantage of human beings. And the way that they do that is when humans are asleep at night, they come and lurk around where they live to see if they can get some of the scraps, maybe some rubbish or some food left outside. There we go. It's okay, little one. You can come back out now. It's the problem with being the smallest member of the clan. You never know when you're going to get knocked about. Sniffing to say hello. Now, James has mentioned crepuscular hunters. Hyenas are a combination of crepuscular, nocturnal and diurnal hunters. They hunt any time during the day. Oh, but they come to the den in the mornings and the evenings to reunite with each other and to affirm the bonds between them. So there's 55 hyenas in this clan. That's 55 each, and every single individual hyena has to know. They know each and every member of their clan personally. They're not all related. They can come from different mothers, but they work together as a team. So these moments where they're bonding together, hello Curious, are super important to make sure that they can work together in the way that they do. Hello. Now, Sienna, talking about youngsters like this one, you want to know how many hyenas can be in a litter. Now, they have been recorded to have up to 4, but the usual number is between 1 and 2 cubs per litter. And the reason behind that is that Mum, the female hyena, only has 2 nipples to feed the little ones. She'll also feed the babies for a long, long time. So she'll suckle her baby for over 1.5 years. So she only really has 1 or 2 at a time. Oh, lots of greeting going on, some curious behavior. This is such a lovely clan. Their immediate neighbors are North Clan, who live next door. Hello, Fluffy. Hello, Fluffy. Now, each and every hyena has unique spots. So just like your fingerprints, or just even like your faces, you all look different to each other, and you recognize your friends, you recognize your classmates. Hyenas are like that too. So if you look long enough at their spots, you can actually tell the difference between individual hyenas. So even though they might all look the same now, and there's lots of them around, that's not actually the case, and each and every single one looks different. Now, there's a hyena hanging about. I can't see her right now, but has been named by the researchers. Her name is Ring. So each of them has a name. There, is that her there? That's her. That's not her. That's Pike, I think. That is the leader of Happy Zebra. See how respectful that cub is being? Running away, slightly nervous. I'm pretty certain that's because that is a female called Pike, and she is the head of the Happy Zebra clan. So hyenas actually have females that lead them. There's some sleeping. No wonder everybody's so nervous. The Queen was here. She's stepping in to check up on everything. She's also got cubs. Rion, hyenas do have predators, especially when they're tiny like this one and vulnerable. Their most dangerous predator is a lion. Now, I'm not going to take you away from Juma. Something really is exciting happening there.
Indeed, so Tandy is now sneaking up on Husana. She's gotten much, much closer to where he is. There he is sniffing about. You can see, look at the size of him in comparison to her. Even though he's only 2.5 years old, he's already much bigger than the 12-year-old Tandy, and so he's going to have a size difference. But look at that. The two of them are just watching each other. Now, Tandy's little cub is behind me at the moment, straight behind us. So it's like a long line of leopards at the stage. Now, he's coming towards her. Let's see what's going to happen. This is going to be interesting. I'm intrigued to see if she's going to growl at him or hiss, or if there's just going to be nothing. It looks as though her ears are flattening a little bit. Now, that's often an indication when a leopard is a little bit grumpy, is they'll have their ears flattened down like that. But look at that. He's just watching. You can see her head is lowered, and when a leopard's like that, it's either they're stalking or they're upset. Now, he's coming closer. This is very exciting. Like I say, this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of opportunity for a lot of you. Look, there she goes. She's walking towards him. Now, you will see another car. That's a car that is out here with people that have come all the way into Africa to come and see these animals in real life, which hopefully some of you will get to do in your lives, because it really is quite something to come and watch these animals in real life. Now, I'm going to just go forward quickly. It's very, very cool. This is amazing. So she's lying flat. She looks as though she's almost going to pounce on him. She's lying so flat. Like I say, that's normally how she would lie if she was going to be stalking. And what she's doing is she's got her head down to try and basically put herself in a position where she's saying to him, I'm not a threat, don't attack me, I'm staying low. And he's just talking to her back and saying, okay, I see you there. And now he's going to go back to the carcass because he doesn't want his carcass to be taken back by her. This is amazing, though. Very, very special. There he goes, wandering off back towards his tree. I wonder if she's going to try and creep up towards him again. That is very cool. So, Rebecca, what happens is in time, we basically spend a lot of time with these leopards, and we see them from when they're small. Now, I said just now that little Klalamba, which is Tandy's cub, who's 10 months old, we've been seeing her since she's 4 weeks old. And so from when she's that small, she basically doesn't know anything. She learns all about life, and so she sees us, and she'll be scared of us because we're big and we're noisy as a car. But over time, when Mom is around and she sees, okay, Mom doesn't really stress and Mom is not unrelaxed with us, then she'll come out and she'll go to Mom, and slowly but surely she realizes that we're not chasing her, we're not hurting her, we're not taking food from her, and Mom never teaches her to hunt us, so we don't get seen as a food item because we're just too big and we don't taste like meat. If she came and bit the side of the car, it's going to be metal, and she's going to think, well, that's not food. And so that's why we can get so close. We're very fortunate in that we're able to get very, very close and able to spend a lot of time kind of watching them at such close proximity. There's many places in the world that you will never get this. There's parts of the world where, unfortunately, leopards are very shy because they're scared of people. They know that people can be a threat to them. People can hunt them or, various other things. And that means that they worry about what a person is, and they're very, very shy, and they'll run away, and it can be very difficult to see these guys in some parts of Africa. But we are being so spoiled this afternoon. This is very special. Now she's just gone behind me. Now she's busy going back towards her cub. He's still eating and feeding his big tummy. Much more comfortable for him to be on the ground eating. And I'm surprised, though, that we haven't found any hyenas coming in yet, because hyenas are very good at finding food, particularly if there's a bit of a wind, and also if there's been a lot of the food has been scattered about, because it'll lend a lot of scent around. And I'm surprised that they haven't shown up yet. I'm sure they will, though. At some point the sun is now set, and that means that we're going to start to see hyenas coming into their own. They're going to start walking around and looking, and they definitely will arrive here before too long this evening. So, Kayla, the reason why animals have to mark their territory is, unlike us, where we can, all decided to live in the same sort of areas and we build little fences and walls around, they can't build a fence or a wall. They're not able to do it like we can. And so their territorial markings are to basically do the same thing. It's basically a gate or a fence that they're putting up around their area to say, this is my territory and this is my place, don't come into my house. Imagine, Kayla, if you had a whole bunch of strangers just walk into your house, you wouldn't feel very comfortable. And it's the same with them. They don't want strangers here because strangers are competition for food. competition for water and can be a threat to their offspring. So even if it's a male leopard, he knows that another male leopard means that he can mate with his females, and potentially then that male doesn't have cubs and his bloodline is not carrying forward. But if it's a female leopard, a new male leopard or a new female is dangerous to her cubs and also to the food and water that she has around. Now I wonder if he's going to come closer. At the moment I think he's just interested in his tummy. It's a very full belly he's got there. It's the same as her at the moment. Now, just trying to see where Mom is. So the two of them are together behind us. I'm just going to turn a little bit for you so you can see Mom and baby. So Tristan, I love your name, by the way. Well done. You've got the best name out of everybody. It's because it's the same name as me, basically. But how old are leopards when they mature? Well, Tristan, they will be generally, it depends, but normally around, for females, they start to have their first cubs at around 3.5 to 4 years old, whereas a male, he's a little bit older because he has to try and compete with the bigger males. So they normally have their first mating rights when they're about 5, 6 years old. Now look, there is Mom, and just to the right of Mom is little Columba, who's going to play with Mom. Look, she's going to pounce. Look at her tail, and it's going to start wiggling in her bum, and she might just kind of jump onto her Mom when Mom comes past, although Mom has seen her now, so she's lost the element of surprise, unfortunately. But look, there they are. How cute is that? Isn't she pretty? She's a very sweet little leopard, and she's got a lot of growing to do. She's only, like I say, 10 months old, and she'll stay with her Mom anywhere between 14 months and 2 years before Mom chases her away and she has to go live on her own and spend time by herself. So she's still got a lot of growing to do. She's still not quite the same size as Mom yet. Oh, look at that. You can see her face is being licked. She doesn't really like it too much. Saying, Mom, that's too much. Don't lick me in the face. And Mom has got a very rough tongue, which I'm sure if any of you have domestic cats, you would have felt that their tongue is like sandpaper. And so what Mom is doing is just making sure her little daughter is nice and clean and that there's no blood and bits all over her. Now, where is our big male? He's still sitting behind us at the moment. Now, why is she growling? She's growling and her tail is flicking. Do you see how her tail is just going back and forth? Now that's a sign that she's upset. When she does that with her tail, she's getting angry. And so, I don't know, maybe there's something else that's lurking. You never know, maybe a hyena is arriving, or she can see that leopard again. And the little cub will watch Mom, and she knows when Mom does that she needs to be careful, because it's then dangerous around here. And the little cub will then go and try and find a thicket to hide in, because that's a camouflage for a leopard. Is its number one kind of safety thing. Now I'm just going to roll forward a little bit so that maybe David can actually see little Tandy behind this bush. Now I don't want to go too far. Let's see. Here we go, David. We should be able to see her quite nicely now. So there she goes. I'm just going to roll a little bit further forward. There we go. Now she's walking where there's lots and lots of thorns, so I'm sure it's not very comfortable for her. She might see her stop just now and kind of lick her paw just to try to get rid of those thorns, but I don't know what it was that she saw. Something that irritated her. Could have been very easily been the other leopard that was moving in the other area, well, back towards the tree, but she seems to be looking in a different place, and you can see that tail is really going back and forth. Now I'm not sure if maybe, just maybe, we can show everybody the flare, Emma. That would be quite nice, because out here it's starting to get quite dark now, and we have a very special camera that we have in our arsenal of weapons. So it's a picture that is a thermal picture. Now look at that. So that's called a flare camera, and it's taking the heat from our leopards. So they're pink now, and that's because they're very hot. The rest of the vegetation, the trees and the ground, is quite cold, and so that's why it's purple to black, whereas they are nice and pink, and it helps us at night to be able to watch our leopards. Isn't that cool? I think it's very, very cool, and so we can see how hot these cats are when they move around. It's very, very useful tool, and it helps us a lot to be able to find the leopards. Now the problem is that when they go behind a lot of trees, it becomes a little bit difficult, because the trees sometimes can be quite warm, particularly at this time of the day. Right. Unfortunately, they've drifted off a little bit. I'm going to try and see if I can maybe just catch up with them a little bit. I think they might be leaving this carcass now. I think they've decided there's nothing really left for them, and so they're going to try and go and find maybe some water or just a nice place to go and rest. So we'll just see where they're off to. While we do that, let's go and see where James has been and what he's been getting up to over the course of the last bit.
Very hard to find things, I'm afraid. We haven't managed to find any wild dogs. We did find some further leopard tracks, however, from a different female leopard called Shidulu, and she has come in from our western side and seems to be somewhere around here. But of course leopards are quite difficult to find, and you know, the fact that you've had 3 leopards on the school drive is very, very special indeed. It does not happen every day. In fact, it happens very seldom. You can see it's getting dark now, and so the chances of finding wild dogs getting smaller, but we still have a little bit of light left and we might be very lucky. Oh, there's a special bird. Don't fly away. It's a special bird called a fork-tailed drongo. Isn't that nice? Yes, let's put on the infrared now. Oh, that's very special. So we've got a very special light here that is able to see in the dark, pretty much. And that's a fork-tailed drongo, and it's sitting on that piece of dung because it's quite possible that there are some insects around on the dung. That's elephant dung, and the drongo will be hoping to eat some of those insects. That's what they eat. They also tend to come out crepuscularly, so they come out just as it starts to get dark, do the fork-tailed drongos. And they hang around on the ground most of the time, actually. They're around a lot of the time, but they tend to come into the open areas and onto the ground when the sun's gone down. They make their last calls, and they look for the last insects. And you can see this bird's got a very specialized beak, and that specialized beak means that it eats insects. That's what that beak's for. If it was hooked like a parrot's, well, then it would eat seeds. And if it was hooked like an eagle's, then it would eat meat. It's back again. It probably just caught itself a little insect. And this is a difficult time of year for fork-tailed drongos because, of course, insect eaters prefer summer because that's when there are more insects around. And so, although we're going towards summer now, there's still not very many insects, and we've just had what we call a cold front come over, which means it's been cold today, which means that any insects that have been around have not been active. They've probably been hiding somewhere. And it's one of the bravest birds you'll ever find out here. There he goes. Very nice. Oh, no, he's still there. See, I told you there are a few more of them now. Natalie and Gabe, elephants don't roll around so much in dung, but they do roll around in mud, and they spray themselves with mud. It's to cool them off and to give their skin a bit of a treatment, if you like. They rub mud on themselves, and then the mud dries, and what the mud then does is that it basically suffocates ticks and other parasites that they might have on the skin, and then they rub the mud off when it's dry. So it helps them to get rid of ticks and other parasites that they might have on their bodies, but they also do it when it's hot to stay cool. They don't do it so much with dung, although they will do it with mud that has dung in it. And elephant dung is one of, believe it or not, the nicest smelling things you can find out here. Now you could tell, just by looking at that picture, that we were in winter, or that we're just coming out of winter, and you could tell that by the fact that that dung is still in balls. In the summertime, after the rains, you will never find dung in balls like that because the dung beetles eat the dung. So just about everything out here has something that will eat it, including that dung. And elephant dung is a big favourite of a very special beetle called a dung beetle. All right, everybody, I hope that you go on to enjoy the rest of your day at school. We're going to continue our safari. We have another half an hour or so of our safari. I hope you enjoyed being on safari. You had 3 leopards today and those wonderful hyenas, so you had a very good time. Enjoy the rest of your school day, and remember, it will be over by the time you're 18. Try and enjoy it. Good stuff. We'll see you again, hopefully on safari very soon. All right, for the rest of you, everybody, the hyenas are now on the move, on the hunt after the wildebeest and the zebra and the Thompson's gazelle and the eland of the great wildebeest migration.
The hyenas are on the move indeed. Happy Zebra clan, or at least a contingent of them, are currently making their way straight through the centre of the massive herds of wildebeest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hyenas, 13 hyenas, and counting. Let's go catch up with them. As I mentioned, I'm not putting myself in a stampede in the dark, so as soon as we do lose all light, I'm going to leave them and let them do their thing. But this is fascinating to watch. This is what I've been trying to share with you, moments like this. Because as we go down this road, they pull off to the side and then they come racing along next to you, and it feels almost as though you're part of this whole process, which of course is very silly, and we're not. But they're not in any way bothered by the car moving with them, and because they're not stealth or ambush predators, we're not compromising their effectiveness in any way. Hello? Yes, I'm talking about you. There's one racing off to the left of us. Then they stop and they play. And then they carry on. Oh, squeaky, squeaky. Quick display of submission from one that overstepped its boundary. And then time to catch up with the rest of them once again. I wish I knew Happy Zebra in the same way that I know North Clan. I don't, though. So I don't know who's who or who's leading the group. I'm pretty sure, though, that they know exactly what they're about and exactly what they're after. They don't even have to work too hard at this time of year. Plus, it's muddy, which is even better because they're just going to cause pandemonium and panic with the wildebeest. Okay, let's go catch up. I think we're going to be spending a fair amount of time with Happy Zebra, actually. Now that the den has been found again by Mr. Leo Smith in the most unexpected of places. So when we were many weeks ago, we were with the Windows, Tristan and myself, on their buffalo kill. We were convinced that North Clan were going to come in and steal it because it was not far from their den at all. They didn't. Happy Zebra came in instead, and with them was this collared individual. And it turned out that she'd been counted as missing for over a year. Her name is Ring. And her full name is Molly Ringwald. Come on, guys, catch up. No, where are we going now? Taking me into an even bigger herd. This is not what I had planned. But it is great fun to just watch them as they play. Every time I try and catch up to show you, they keep going. This is what hyenas do all night, pretty much, having tried to follow them all night. It's fine when they're on a road. It's less fine when they're off road, especially when they decide they're going to run. So already, even though I've tried to catch up with them to give you a good view, already they're almost beyond the scope of our infrared light. Excited. Wait for me, guys. What a late comer. Very cool. I'm going to leave my happy zebra clan wandering down the road. It is getting a bit dark and they're going to go into a big herd. So I'm going to deliberately let them disappear. I'm not sure whether or not Tristan has done the same with his leopards.
No, I haven't, Jamie. The leopards did the same to me. They just decided they were going to just leave me, and I lost them all, but I think we can find them again. I'm hoping that they're on Vulture's Nest Road. So it's just so thick in here. We got stuck behind one stump, or on one stump, not behind a stump. Would you get stuck behind a stump, or would it be on a stump? On a stump. And by the time we got over and around that stump, that said stump, well, they were gone and there was no more sign of them. So now I'm trying to figure a way to get towards the road, because they were heading in that general direction, but that's easier said than done in this horrendous thicket. So I don't know if James is interested. He might want to head to Husana and just go and catch up with him on the carcass, because I think he's sitting just somewhere close to the carcass itself. I don't know where James is at the moment. He's also been bouncing around trying to find those wild puppies. Right, now while I try and get myself back to the road and actually try and find these two cats, let's send you back across to James and see where he's been and what he feels like getting up to for the last half an hour of drive.
Well, you know what I've been up to. I've been on game drive, really. Nothing's changed for the last 2.5 hours. I've been game driving, so I'm still game driving now for another half an hour or so. Now, we came onto the western sector because, as I said to the children, who probably didn't know what on earth I was yakking about, we did find tracks of Shidulu in this area. So it might be quite nice to see her, I think. I don't think any one of you would object if we saw Shidulu, the female leopard, aged 4 years, Duchess of the West. Very different looking from our royal lineage. Much longer faces, narrower eyes. She looks quite old for 4 years old, but that's what she is. We know her quite well. Or maybe even Hukomori will be looking for her. It's been a long, long time since I saw Hukomori. The 6-year-old male leopard, origins unknown. We're guessing he's about 6. Oh, there is a Kudu. My goodness, fantastic. Right, a lot of confusion while we look at this Kudu about time changes. This is unsurprising. I find the time changes confusing as well. They are as follows. Things have moved from 5:30 to 8:30 Central African time in the morning. In other words, they have become an hour earlier in the morning, finishing at the same time. So 5:30 to 8:30 in the morning until the end of September. Then, in the evening, you will notice that we are still live past 6 o'clock, which will be a great shock to most people, but here we are. We have 25 minutes left, and that's because the afternoon drive has shifted by half an hour, and it now starts at 15:30 hours Central African time, so at 3:30, and goes until 6:30 in the evening Central African time. So it's shifted to an hour later. That is because it has become, well, most afternoons beastly hot, and also because obviously it's only just getting dark now, and it's 6:05, and we've got some nice nighttime sort of filming equipment, and so it makes sense to have sort of 20 minutes or so in the dark afterwards. All right, does that make sense? Any other questions? Oh, Laura, I have seen a number of bush babies recently. I just haven't managed to get any of them on camera. They're around. I promise you they're around. We'll do our best to find you one. I'm just going to turn the lights off now as we go past these Kudus. There we are. Night Kudus. Have a good evening. Don't get eaten. Very unpleasant to be eaten in the night. Or in the day. Just ask that squirrel. Had a beastly time today. It was quite something, everybody. We saw a kill today. Husana killed and ate a squirrel in the space of about 25 seconds. Ate the head whole, managed to gut it, which is a bit disgusting, and then ate the rest. Absolutely unbelievable. Oh, there's a duiker. Never mind him. Yes, indeed, Emma, it gives a new meaning to fast food. That was very fast food. Bush babies we will try and find. This is a good time to find bush babies because there are no leaves on the trees yet. I'm just trying to remember where I saw a bush baby nest. Oh yes, I remember. I'm not sure we'll get there before the end of the drive. But we'll try. Tell you what, we'll go and see if we can find bush babies at the bush babies nest. I'm still rather hoping we'll bump into the pack of hounds. We won't view them much in this light, but we know where to start tomorrow morning. But alas, I haven't heard them calling at all today, and I wonder if they haven't been found somewhere else. I don't think I've got my lights on. Oh, that's much better. Ah, fantastic. All right, well, there is a bit of action in the Maasai Mara. The hyenas are on the hunt, I believe. I'm not sure if they're hunting wildebeests or zebras, which Jamie will tell you about in exactly 3, 2, 1 seconds.
I've left the hyenas, I'm afraid. They were on the hunt, but they went into the middle of a big herd and started causing chaos in the dark, so I've left them. Hyena hunts also take an incredibly long time to play out. We're all a little bit confused by the time changes. This has now plunged us into, here in the Mara, a fair amount of darkness. I always find it difficult to spotlight when I'm driving through the migration. I don't know, Archie, does this can you actually see what I see when I spotlight with the camera? If I shine off to the left or anything like that, does it... I don't know if it really... You can't really see how... No. So basically it's just eyes shining at me. Now, obviously I move the spotlight as quickly as possible so that I don't... It's flash blindness, basically, for the diurnal animals. It use up all of the nerve conducting... the impulse conducting molecules, not molecules, what are they called? Ions in the nerve cells, and they struggle to see if the light is shone on them for too long. So that's why I'm moving my spotlight quite quickly, but to try and effectively pick out if there were a serval or a lion or indeed anything other than wildebeest and zebra would be next to impossible. I've managed it before. You'll also notice that I'll turn out my headlights if they're walking at me, just because my headlight is quite bright and I can still see it. No, don't run into me. This is what I'm basically trying to get out of. Hello guys. Please move. Oh, we've got all sorts of difficulties that we have to navigate out here. Some of us have to dodge wildebeest, some of us have to find leopards that we lost.
Well, luckily for us, we didn't lose our leopards for too long. We've got them again now on the road in front of us. It's just that the road bends quite sharply here, so that's why we can't see them, but we'll see them fairly shortly. They're just up ahead of us on the road, so it's both Tandy and Hyenas that are here. They, interestingly enough, are moving right where Husana and Tingana were yesterday with that, or for those past few days with that Nyala. So we're right in the exact same spot, and they're actually heading in that direction. Now I'm going to try and kind of just keep up with them quickly. I'm going to just turn my light on just to see where they're going in relation to where I am, because otherwise it makes life a little tricky to be able to see what's going on without lights. I obviously don't want to spotlight Tlalamba at all, so we're using the infrared and the thermal to follow her with Mom. And there they are. They're on the road together, both of them, which is quite nice. So we'll just stop right here and watch them go up the bank. There we go. You see little Tlalamba's in a playful mood. She's kind of running in front of Mom. And look at that. Isn't that cute? I think it's quite nice. Right, now, I was saying that we're going to use our infrared, but there's also another weapon in our arsenal, which is the flare. So we'll cross onto that because it's really nice to actually watch these cats in the dark, and I don't feel bad at all about using the flare because it helps us so much, and it also really doesn't do anything to the cats themselves. So you can see Tandy is the one on the left, Kalamba is just disappearing to the right, and they're basically on top of this little ridge in the road. And this is an area that they use quite regularly. We often find their tracks here. This is on the central sort of section and of where the Nyala Road drainage goes, and we find them there all the time. Now there's a little Kalamba reappearing from the right. Isn't that cool? I think that's very sweet, the two of them together. Now they're going to go into an impossible area where we're not going to be able to follow them for much longer. I'll just catch up for one last view of them, and then that's going to be it for the evening, I'm afraid. They go into this drainage. I wouldn't even go in this drainage during daylight, let alone at night. So I'm just going to try and quickly get up here for one last view of the two. That actually rhymes. Now where are they? I can't even see anything. It's so dark now. I forgot that we're half an hour later. I was just thinking to myself, oh, there they are. They're right there. So we just get a little forward, and there's little Kalambas on a log. Now you'll see on the flare she's messing around on a fallen over tree. So that's her bounding about. Typical youthful little cat, isn't that cool? And there goes Tandy in the background as well. Now little Kalamba will be right at home. Now she might jump. Let's just see. I think Mom's walking away too quickly. That might take her away from jumping. But let's see. She looks like she wants to jump. Come on, little one. Do a jump in flare. Come on. Is she going to do it? And no, it looks like she's second guessing this. I'm hoping she's going to. No, there she goes. How cool is that? Very, very cool. What a special afternoon we've had. We've been very spoiled this afternoon with these guys. Now, I believe a lot of you are loving little Kalamba playing, or little pink Kalamba playing in the night. It's very cool. Don't you think it's amazing now that it's opened up this world where we can kind of spend time with more sensitive sightings, or cats that are a little bit younger, without putting any pressure on them in terms of having lights. There's not a single light. I can't see anything. It's pitch black for me, but yet we have this beautiful clear image of her playing around and Mom walking about. It's phenomenal how amazing technology is and how far it's coming, and that we can share this with all of you guys. So hopefully you're all enjoying it as much as what David and I are. I know David loves this camera. It's like his little baby that he has, and is always fiddling and playing and making sure it's working. Right, but that's going to be the end of it. We're going to see her disappear, and Rosalind, you say, was such a magical moment. It is a magical moment, and it feels like a good time just to let them kind of slink off and have the afternoon to themselves. And you can see in the infrared what we are actually seeing, and that's with an infrared light, so you can imagine what it's like without that. It is completely black. There we go. That's what David is showing you when there is no light whatsoever, which is amazing, isn't it, what technology does. Anyway, that's good. Tandy and Kalamba are on their way. I'm pretty sure they're going to head towards maybe Buffelshoek Dam is where they might end up. I wonder if maybe even Tingana is actually at Buffelshoek Dam, and that these guys are on their tracks towards that area. But it really is a section that's not drivable. I mean, it's thick, it's dense. I wouldn't even risk it in the daylight to try and follow where they've gone now. It's Herbie's favorite place to track them. He always, if we looking for Tandy and Kalamba, this is the first spot that he'll always tell me to go and kind of check before going anywhere else if we have no idea where they are, because they walk here so much. So that was very, very special, and like I said, we're just going to leave them to ghost off into the night. I don't know about Husana either, because he's obviously was quite full, and the last I heard is he was lying in a horrible thicket north of the tree and actually wasn't in the tree anymore. So we might go back past him, and I suppose it's on the way, so I might do so. Let's see how we go. But that was very cool. What a special afternoon with all three of these cats. Now, interestingly enough, it seems there was a bit of a spat between the Talamatis and the Nkuhumas and the Evokers up in Buffelshoek just now, which it seems it's all kind of settled down and no one really got hurt, but there was a bit of an interaction there. And so while I contemplate or find out what actually happened, let's send you back across to James and see if he's had any luck with Kudu.
That's very interesting. Cats coming to blows. I'll tell you what I suspect's happening, and we'll let Tristan try and confirm it. I know that there are 4 Nkuhumas down south near Chitwa at the moment, We didn't go there because I think there were probably 78,000 vehicles coming from at least 4 properties, so we just stayed on here with all our leopards. And what I think's happened is you'll find that probably 2 of those lionesses from the Nkuhumas, 2 or 3, Amber Eyes, the youngest one, and possibly another, have gone wandering up into the Talamati territory looking for the evokers. The Talamatis have pushed quite a long way south from where they used to operate. They're now regular features on Buffelshoek, which is the reserve to the north of us, where the Nkuhumas used to quite often operate. And I think what you will find is that those 2 lionesses are going to negotiate a peace settlement with the evokers. They've strayed out into the wrong territory and they've probably had themselves a bit of a boxing match. And the reason the whole pride is not hanging around with the evokers is, of course, there are some youngsters. Not too young, but quite young. I'm still trying to find my bush babies going towards their nest. And by negotiating, I don't actually mean they're going to sit down and have a chit-chat about how to go forward without violence. I mean they're going to negotiate through their feminine wiles, and any bond with the pride will be solidified with mating. And those ones are the ones that are most likely, I think, to come into estrus, because I think they don't have cubs, obviously. Amber Eyes doesn't. I'm not sure the youngest lioness has had cubs. No, she definitely had cubs, but I don't know how old they are in the pride. They're in the pride now. So that's quite interesting, really. I am, of course, guessing, but I think that's what's happened there. All right, this little bush baby's nest is just down through this dip and up the other side. I suspect, however, that they've probably left home. We're just a little bit late. They come out a little bit earlier than this, when it's not quite as dark. Not far. Stay with me. We've just got a few more 100 meters to go. Not sure that's English. Never mind. Come on, bush babies. Where are you? We're getting very close now. Are we? Yes. I can see the tree, everybody. I can see it. Is that the tree? Yes, I think it is. Yes, I believe it to be the tree. Now, there's not a bush baby in sight. No bush baby. They live in this tree here. I think it's this tree. We might just go a little bit further on to make sure. Lindsay, the animal I'm most looking forward to seeing in summer. Well, I mean, we see all of the same animals, really. I guess I'm quite hoping for some more buffalo-lion interaction. No bush baby there. Bird-wise, I've got the Wahlbergs, of course. I'm very pleased to see the Wahlberg's eagle. And, well, I always love it also when the bee-eaters come back. I like the bee-eaters very much. Ah, no, here's the tree. It's this tree. It's not that one. There's still no bush babies in it, but it is this tree. There's a little, it's that hole there. See that one there, Ferg? They go in there. There we are, but they're obviously out already. Sometimes they're in the tree next to it for a while, but clearly foraging somewhere else this evening. I'm sorry about my lack of bush baby finding skills. Dreadful, dreadful effort. Right, well, we'll turn around and go the other way. Sorry about that, everyone. I think we were just a bit late, like I said. In the meantime, Jamie apparently is doing something known as foraging through the darkness. Well, I'm sure she's hungry. She's been out a long time. Let's find out what she's going to eat.
I come foraging through the darkness like a veritable thing that forages in darkness. I'm thinking about bush babies and wishing that it's something that we could accomplish when showing you all of the amazing animals in the Maasai Mara. Because up in our camp, there are the most... I'm so sorry, I think I swallowed a bug. Attracted to the lights of our spotlights. Was I talking about bush babies? So there's these greater galagos, the big bush babies, not the little things that we usually see on Juma. I don't know if you've ever if we've ever had a greater galago live. I don't think so. They do occur there, but I don't think we've ever had one live. But we get these big bush babies, and they are black. They're melanistic, completely black. And they hang out around our tents and occasionally make quite a bit of noise. And the reason, of course, they're called bush babies is because they make a cry like a bush baby. So I really wish that we could show you them, but they're very hard to find. I've only seen them every now and again, and I live there. And of course, we'd have to drive around the camp at nights. James, I actually feel as though I've let the side down, because I know that yesterday I asked Kirsty what she wanted to see, and she said a bat-eared fox, and I never managed to find her one. But I have seen quite a few bat-eared foxes. There's one that hangs out, or a family that hangs out near where the Sausage Tree Pride used to be, or used to spend a lot of time, down towards the Salt Lick, and I used to see them there often. The burn is also quite nice. I've spent more time with North Clans, so I've been away from the shorter grassed areas, but they're around. They're definitely around. I'm always keeping an eye out for them. Aardwolf is still on the list of animals we need to show you live. Striped hyena. I don't know that striped hyena will happen, at least for now. Let's do a slow check for the windows. You'll notice that I'm spotlighting quite quickly, and that's because it's surprising how quickly our brains pick up on something different in the night, something that stands out. Speaking of finding things that stand out, bravo Tristan, well done.
Well, we were busy on our way home, and we thought we would just probably leave Husana to himself, but he was lying right next to the road, so we decided just to come and have a little look. There was a hyena here as well that scrammed very quickly when I first came. In fact, maybe Husana waking up now might be a sign that there is a hyena lurking. I'm just scanning with my spotlight quickly just to see if there is any sign of him, but I don't see the hyena anymore. It seems to have run away. At first, when I first saw the eyes, I actually thought it might be another leopard. I thought maybe Tingana was here as well, which would have been ridiculous, but highly possible given what we've been seeing over the last few months. But it was just Husana and a hyena. They were just staring each other down. They really weren't... Oh, there it comes. You can actually see the hyena in the distance on the FLIR more than you can on the infrared. So, Emma, I don't know if we can go back to FLIR again, because it will be much easier for anyone to actually see it. There we go. So now you can see it's coming kind of in the distance, slowly milling about, walking its way towards where Husana is. So it's quite interesting to see. It's amazing, isn't it? With the infrared, you don't see anything, and then there's this little hotspot that just starts appearing out of the thickets, and it's going to go straight towards where Husana is. He's just on the right side of where it is. That big tree that the hyena is walking towards is where the carcass is stationed and is sitting. And so the hyena is probably looking for any scraps that might be left behind by Husana, who's obviously dropped a few bits and bobs, but ended up eating them. Now it's going to walk straight towards Husana. Come on. There you can see the top of Husana's head, and the hyena's sniffing about. Let's see now. That's pretty cool. Now we'll go back to our infrared because it's actually easier for David to be able to see the two of them together. So there you can see the kind of distance between the two. You've got the hyena milling about there, and I'm sure it's one of the hyenas from this one. It's got a full belly, so I think they robbed the dogs of a kill as well. So I think the dogs killed twice this last night, or particularly because it's almost full moon. Well, it is full moon. Last night was full moon. It's good conditions for dogs to hunt even at night. So I think they killed twice, and well, were robbed both times, unfortunately, which sucks a little bit. But you can see that tummy is quite round on that particular hyena as well, and so obviously benefited from it. Now this morning, we'll listen to that. You can actually hear the crunching of the bones as it's eating a leg, I think, that it must have gotten. But this morning Sydney had the most fantastic sighting of hyenas. For those of you that missed it, they were playing and swimming, and hyenas do swim quite regularly. I've seen them do it very often. Not often in big dams. Often they like to go to little rainy mud wallows and lie in there, but they are pretty happy to go into water, wade in, swim, do their thing. I once had a sighting of hyenas of the Elephant Plains clan, and I think there was about 28 of them that ended up going into a big dam in the west and had the best time swimming up and down all over the place, and eventually they went underwater and came out with a big buffalo skull and spine that they all then fed on. It was quite something actually to watch the whole process, but it was amazing to watch. Anyway, it seems as though these two individuals, the hyena and this leopard, are not going to be swimming anywhere because we're very far away from any water. They're just going to sniff around each other, and you can see no animosity really. They're only interested in food, both of them. They don't really worry about each other too much. Anyway, that time of the day, I'm afraid we are going to be starting to head home. I'm sure Jamie's already headed home. James will be almost at home, and well, we're going to leave Husana to himself. He's had a busy afternoon, once again being the star of the show. So we really have had the most insane last few sort of days and weeks, and it just continues, and long may it continue. It's been absolutely spectacular following the leopard dynamics and this little family that just seems to kind of never stop giving, and hopefully it will last for a lot longer. Anyway, from all of us, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope that you've all had a wonderful afternoon with us, and we'll see you all tomorrow morning for our sunrise safari.